Ladies and gentlemen, we now direct your attention to Commissioner Kuhn's box, situated at the home plate side of the Reds dugout, where the ceremonial first pitch will be thrown out by the former general manager of the Cincinnati Reds and the president emeritus of the National League, Warren Giles.
Johnny Bench shaking hands with Warren Giles. There's the Commissioner, Bowie Kuhn, and the man in the gray suit is Julian Goodman, the chairman of the board of the National Broadcasting Company. Bill Salatich of the President Gillette right alongside of him. They got pretty good seats tonight. Joe Cronin, who received a standing ovation in Boston with his wife Mildred. I've seen that congressman with the plaid jacket. That's Mendel Davis of South Carolina. He was the captain of the Democratic team in the annual congressional game. And there's Hank Aaron, not a bad hitter. Henry Aaron sitting here tonight in the commissioner's box enjoying the ball game. Baseball's all-time great hitter. The Reds go on the field getting a roar, as they should. They had a club record this year, 108 games, breaking an old mark of the 1970 team. And also, they had the best road record in the history of the National League this year. Home record, winning 64 and losing just 17. They are really hard to beat here. On the other hand, the Red Sox had the best road record in the American League, winning 48 and losing just 31. Gary Nolan, he was washed up. One man saved him. That was the president of the Cincinnati Reds, Bob Housen. He didn't pitch the year before last, then last year again. Finally, they decided to operate on him, Tony. He had a calcium spur removed by Dr. Job, the Dodger orthopedic man, in back of his right shoulder, and he came back to win 15 games.
Quite a comeback. Was in the minor leagues last year, did not have a decision. Sparky Anderson, his manager, we talked to him before the ball game. We asked him to tell us a little bit about Gary Nolan, his starting pitcher for game number 3 in Cincinnati.
Well, Tony, let me tell you this here now. When I left Thousand Oaks on February 20th, I didn't even consider Gary on our roster. He wasn't even figured of one of the pitchers. He just came along as the spring went along. Larry Starr, Larry Shepard, and I would say Gary Nolan's courage brought him back. That is the whole answer in a nutshell. He will win 20 or more games for Cincinnati in 1976. In 1975, it's a great miracle.
Gary Nolan this year won 15 and lost 9. He's still only 27 years old. He broke in as a youngster here. Was an amazing pitcher right from the start until the shoulder miseries got him. He is not a strikeout pitcher, but has outstanding control, Marty, right?
Certainly does, Kurt. He walked only 29 batters during the course of the year, and 5 of those walks were intentional walks. He's on the black outside and on the black inside.
All right. In other words, he hits those corners and moves that ball around. He's facing Cecil Cooper, who loves to go after that first pitch in a fastball, and he ripped the foul back out of play. Cooper's had 1 hit and 8 times up so far. He's had 1 RBI. It'll be Cooper, Doyle, Yastrzemski. 3 left-handers in a row for the Red Sox facing a right-hander. The outfield is around toward right for Cooper. He's a pull hitter. He hits a curveball down to first. Perez has it. The race to the bag, and there's 1 down. Here you'll notice the outfielders are going to be playing deeper. And in Fenway Park, well, one reason, of course, the wind was blowing in Fenway Park. Here you have to play deeper because if the ball hits on a hop, it'll bounce over your head. And that's one of the dangers of this artificial surface. It's very hard, and the infielders play deeper, too.
Also got to protect those alleys in the outfield, Kurt. Ball scoots out there, gets by, it could be a triple.
Denny Doyle's had 3 hits and 7 times. He popped it foul back out of play. I think they've told him to go up there and hit that first pitch. This guy's around the plate. Don't get behind on him. And the first 2 batters for the Red Sox have been first ball hitters. 0-1 to Doyle. 1 out. Nobody on. We're just underway. Yastrzemski's on deck, and then Carlton Fisk. Nolan works with a fastball, a curve, a changeup. Ground ball to Perez. There he is again. Same play, same spot, 2 down. And both of them bounced out on curveballs.
First 2 Red Sox. Nolan's the kind of pitcher, correct me if I'm wrong, Marty, he has a reputation as a breaking ball pitcher, and yet he gets a lot of hitters out with fastballs. He did that against Pittsburgh when he was overshadowed by Candelaria in that great performance.
That's right, Tony, and looking back over the season, he may well have had his best fastball all year against the game that you mentioned in Pittsburgh.
And yet he didn't get much credit because a youngster by the name of Candelaria struck out 14. Nolan allowed only 2 runs in that game. Yastrzemski hits a high hopper to Joe Morgan. It's going to be a quick 1-2-3 inning. And the score at the end of the first half inning, 0-0. The Reds coming to bat. 30-year-old Richard Charles Wise coming back this year to win 19 after winning only 3 last year. And this ballpark is no stranger to him. In fact, he loves to pitch here. He's done very well. He has pitched a no-hit game against the Reds in this ballpark, and he's pitched a one-hitter here. And the first man he faces, Pete Rose, was talking about that no-hit game. That was back in '71 on June 23rd, and Rose said, man, he never should have had a no-hitter. The first ball up, I beat out to the shortstop. The next 2, I lined out. But he said he came up with a no-hitter, and I'll give him credit. He hit 2 home runs in that game, winning 4-0. Rick Wise pitched a week ago. He won the final game of the American League playoffs, beating Oakland. He was a winning pitcher. He had some problems late in the season, but he came back strong against the defending world champion, the A's. He was traded by the Cardinals along with outfielder Bernie Carbo for outfielder Reggie Smith and pitcher Ken Tatum after the '73 season. Pete Rose is 2 out of 8. Rose, Griffey, and Morgan, they've changed the batting order. They've moved Griffey up to number 2 to get his speed up there along with Morgan. Morgan will drop from 2 to 3. Wise is primarily a fastball slider. He throws a lot of high stuff. He's not a ground ball pitcher. The first pitch is high to Rose, a ball. Pete Rose, will he get those 3,000 hits? I wouldn't doubt it. He has over 2,500 now. Takes great care of himself. Durable. He should have 3 or 4 more years. A ground ball to Doyle. The Red Sox second baseman puts him away, and there's 1 down. This telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball, is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Commissioner of Baseball is prohibited. Major League Baseball has the right of approval of the announcers for this event. Now we can play ball. Ken Griffey up. Griffey, 2 out of 7. 1 RBI. He got a big one. A big RBI for the Reds to give them a split in Boston when he doubled the left center in the 9th inning. Strike. Griffey beat out over 38 infield hits this year. He must hit a lot of those high choppers, huh, Marty?
He does, Kurt, and this ballpark with the artificial surface and the others around the National League are really tailor-made for him.
Of course, the National League has mostly artificial surfaces. The Red Sox played at only 2 in the American League, Kansas City and Chicago's infield. The outfield's natural grass. 1 ball, 1 strike to Griffey. He's been clocked going to first base in 3.5. That one nearly to the backstop. Same outfield for the Red Sox. Yastrzemski in left, Lynn in center, Evans in right. Sparky Anderson has called it the best defensive outfield one of his teams has ever faced. They're all around, getting to the ball, catching it, and then throwing it accurately. The 2-1 pitch. Foul ball. Foul tip into the mitt of Carlton Fisk. The infield is Petrocelli at third, Burleson at short, Doyle at second, Cooper at first. Fisk receiving the deliveries of Rick Wise.
Kurt, Sparky did qualify that about this outfield. He did say, I'd like to see them play, or I'm going to have to see them play on artificial surface, where he thinks raw speed is so important.
1 out, nobody on. We have no score in the last of the first inning. Fouled away. Count 2-2 to Ken Griffey. Perez was kidding him around the batting cage tonight. I want to see you do something. He said, I did more than you did in Boston. So I moved him 2 bases. You only moved him 1.
that kind of banner sound familiar to you, Marty, being around that dugout and clubhouse of the Reds all year long?
It really does, Tony. They give Griffey a hard time referring to him as a punch and Judy hitter, and he said if he can hit 305 every year, he'll take it.
I don't blame him. 3-2 was Pete Rose, whose ambition was to become the first singles hitter to make $100,000 a year, and he did it. 1 out, nobody on. We have a full count to Ken Griffey. Griffey's plate is right now a pull hitter about 2 steps to right. Petrocelli's backed up on a 3-2 count. Burleson's in a couple of steps, so against the speed of Griffey. Bounding ball to second baseman Doyle. And we have 2 down. So the first 3 men up for the Red Sox all grounded out, and the first 2 men up for the Reds have bounced out. Here's little Joe Morgan. He's had 2 hits in 7 times. He said, I want to, he's got a great personality. Came over and he said, I want to thank you. My wife told me about comparing me to Sugar Ray Robinson, pound for pound. Sugar Ray, probably the greatest fighter of all time. I know Muhammad Ali would argue that. But I said pound for pound last Saturday. Here was the strongest player in the majors. He's little, but he knocked in 94 runs and hit 17 homers. And does everything else. 0-1. Perez, the big right-handed slugger on deck. 2 down, nobody on, no score. That one hitter that Rick Wise pitched, Joe Morgan spoiled it on June 13th with a line drive hit, 2 out of the 9th inning. Wise winning that one 8-0 in a Cardinal uniform. Strike on the inside corner. Good pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Wise, like Gary Nolan, has pretty good control. He likes to spot the fastball. His best pitch probably is his slider. He'll throw an off-speed curveball on occasion.
I think it's a tougher lineup with Morgan hitting third. Got more speed up on top, and also Morgan can knock in runs and take some heat off Perez and bench behind him. There's a high fly into left center. Fred Lynn drifting back, waiting. 3 up, 3 down for Cincinnati. At the end of the first inning, it's 0-0. They had 500,000 ticket applications for the World Series here in Cincinnati, about the same in Boston. 2 truly outstanding baseball franchises. Not just city teams, but area teams. They come from Kentucky, Ohio. We saw all the license plates around all over the Midwest here to watch this club, and up in Boston, it's a New England team. Indiana, West Virginia, big fans also of the Reds. Carlton Fisk looks at a strike, and Nolan's in that strike zone with that first pitch. Fisk has had 1 hit in 6 times. He's knocked in 2 runs. Lynn, a left-hander on deck, and then Petrocelli. That's the curveball of Gary Nolan. Nolan's been an outstanding pitcher for the Reds, but he's not had much luck in the World Series. He's made 4 previous World Series starts, no wins, 2 losses, and a high earned run average of 5.40. There's a blast deep left. Forget about it. It's gone. A home run for Carlton Fisk. Well, they ought to have the green wall out there.
Ooh, that was out of anywhere. Grand Canyon. He got every last bit of that one. Looked like a fastball inside part of the plate, about belt high.
That is
jumping
the first
on him.
home
He didn't
run
know
in
he's
the
got
series.
good control. Let's look at Fisk's swing again. Bench appeared to be signaling that he wanted the ball inside, maybe off the strike zone. Belt high, and he knew it's gone. Look at Fisk and Johnny look. Foster barely took a look and saw it go, well, halfway up in that first deck there.
What do they call it? The heart of the plate, Marty?
That's right, Kurt, and I'll tell you, for Gary Nolan to be successful, he cannot pitch up in that area.
Here's Fred Lynn, who's had 2 hits in 8 times. They're still buzzing about that tremendous home run by Carlton Fisk, the first homer of this 75 series. Boston leading 1-0. A high fly by Lynn in the left center. Geronimo trotting in for it. 1 away. So in the first inning, Boston hit the ball on the ground. Second inning, they're up in the air. Rico Petrocelli, the leading hitter in this series, along with Rick Burleson. Each has had 4 hits in 7 times up. Petrocelli's the RBI king. 3 RBIs. Neither club has really worn the ball out. There's a fastball for a call strike. 0-1. So little Perry Como drops behind on the count. 1-0 Boston. He hits a foul ball in back of the Red Sox dugout into the seats.
Can he sing?
No, he can't sing a lick. But that's what we used to call him when he came up. Brooklyn, New York. Folks ran a butcher shop there. Great Yankee fan, signed with the Red Sox. 0-2.
They play Rico more to pull than anybody else on this Red Sox team, even Carlton Fisk. Concepcion is well over in the hole and deep.
1 out, nobody on. 1-0 Red Sox. That pitch is high, a ball, 2 strikes to Rico Petrocelli. A right-handed batter, Dwight Evans on deck. There's your defensive setup. And look at Concepcion over there in the hole, and Morgan shading second.
With 2 strikes, David moved a couple of steps towards second.
Curveball's hit down in the hole. Base hit in the left field. Nolan hung a curve. Ahead on the count, 1-2. That's a 5th hit for Petrocelli, Tony.
Here's an example of what artificial surface can do. It just picks up speed, picks up an overspin on the graininess of this artificial surface. Ordinary grass, Concepcion might have had a shot.
Johnny Bench and Sparky Anderson, I thought, gave us a couple of remarkable interviews in Boston last Sunday during the rain. They were very candid. Strike, and you remember in the interview, Johnny Bench said artificial surface should help Boston because they hit a lot of balls in the ground. And we just saw Petrocelli ground that one through. Dwight Evans, 1 out of 6 in this series. 274 hitter for the season. Hits a fly ball, twisting down the right field line. Griffey racing for it and makes the grab right up against the wall. He disappeared out of our view.
That's what Sparky was talking about, raw speed in his outfield. He thinks that Geronimo, and especially Griffey, has more than the Red Sox outfield. He had a long run. He was playing the right center field, which is where Evans hits on occasion.
Fine play by Griffey as he gauged himself and that cushion out there. 2 outs. Petrocelli at first. Rick Burleson's had 4 hits, 7 times up. He's a tough out. Pitch of the strike. Looked like might have been his slider. 0-1. He's knocked in 1 run. He was a very capable hitter against the A's, too, in the American League playoffs. That's a check swing. It's 0-2 to the Rooster, Rick Burleson.
Marty, as I recall, Gary Nolan has an excellent change of pace. In fact, 2 of them, but he threw very few against Pittsburgh. Just 3 or 4, according to the scouting reports Boston has.
Tony, we talked about his fastball in that game. Johnny Bench realized he had an exceptional fastball that night and pretty much went with it. He does, I'll tell you, as far as the National League is concerned, he has possibly, or no doubt, one of the top 2, 3 changes in all of the National League.
The count to Burleson's 0-2. They're playing into the opposite field. Fisk led off this inning with a homer. The Red Sox are leading 1-0. They have Petrocelli at first, 2 away. A 2-strike delivery teased him with an outside pitch. You talk about control. Listen to this, my friends. This man Nolan walked only 1.2 every 9 innings this year. That is really control. 5 intentional walks in that group. 0-2 to Rick Burleson. The Red Sox pitcher, Rick Wise, due up next in case Burleson gets on. Wise is a good hitting pitcher. Outside, although he hasn't hit in a couple of years. Boy, that was close. Rick Wise. He's got his hitting glasses on. Petrocelli at first, 2 down. 1 ball, 2-strike pitch coming up. There's the changeup. It's beat to shortstop Concepcion. The flip to Morgan. Sides retired. 1 run, 2 hits, no errors, 1 left. At the end of an inning and a half, Boston 1, Cincinnati 0. The umpires assigned to Game 3 of the World Series. Larry Barnett is working the plate. Dick Stello at first. George Maloney of the American League at second. Satch Davidson of the National League is the third base umpire. Art France of the American League covering the left field line. And Nick Colosi of the National League is on the right field line. Three powerful right-handed batters come up for the Reds in the last of the second. Perez, Bench, and Foster. Perez looking for his first hit of this series after knocking in 109 runs during the year and batting .282. They're deep and straight away for him. His power to all field. He'll hit a lot of drives into right center. Wise gives him a quick slider for a strike. 0-1. Wise went to high school in Portland, Oregon, graduating from Madison High. Out there in the Rose City, 1-1. And we're getting some action. Pat Darcy, he's been an early warm-up man every game for the Reds. A 1-1 pitch. That one sunk down to him. First pitch is really sunk. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Perez.
Pitching coach Stan Williams watches him very closely. That is Rick Wise. As we look at that last pitch to see if he follows through completely. He has a habit of pulling back before he gets through his full follow-through. He loses his control and his velocity.
A 1-2 pitch. Beat foul. Wise played Little League, Babe Ruth League, and American Legion ball. He began in the Phillies organization back in '63. His 11th season in the majors. He led the Boston staff in victories this year with 19, 1 more than Louis Tiant. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Perez.
Pitching coach Stan Williams watches him very closely. That is Rick Wise. As we look at that last pitch to see if he follows through completely. He has a habit of pulling back before he gets through his full follow-through. He loses his control and his velocity.
A 1-2 pitch. Beat foul. Wise played Little League, Babe Ruth League, and American Legion ball. He began in the Phillies organization back in '63. His 11th season in the majors. He led the Boston staff in victories this year with 19, 1 more than Louis Tiant. It'll be Tiant against Gullett tomorrow night, by the way. The 2 men that opened game 1 of the series. Perez batting, nobody on, nobody out. Poured a fastball, and Perez just a little bit late with it. Johnny Bench waiting. He's had the big hit of this series, I think, so far. That leadoff double to the opposite field in the 9th inning that got the Reds going.
Got to wonder right now, as Darcy warms up, if there's something wrong with Nolan.
I was wondering the same thing.
Pat Darcy, Kurt, you wonder about his warming up so early. Gary Nolan developed tightness in his shoulder that brought about an early ouster in his last start against Pittsburgh, and possibly he could be having the same problem here tonight.
Well, we're trying to check on it. 2-2 is the count to Perez. Fouled away again. Probably the most, well, they've got so many fine men on this team. They're all personable, have a lot of poise, but Perez is probably as popular man as there is on the team, isn't he, Marty?
Kurt, I'd say he's probably the most popular man on this ball club. Great influence on Davey Concepcion and the other Latin Americans on the Reds team.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Perez leading off last of the second. Now the count runs to 3-2. We're going to pause briefly for identification. This is the NBC Television Network. Kurt Gowdy, Tony Kubek, and Marty Brenneman back with you here in Riverfront Stadium. A full count to Tony Perez. Boston ahead, 1-0. Last of the second. There's the drive into left center. Fred Lynn waiting. And we have 1 down. Johnny Bench, 2 hits and 8 times up.
Kurt, one of the things that they said the outfield, especially for the Red Sox, would have to do here on this artificial surface is move back. It does not appear that Evans nor the center fielder Lynn are back very much. Yastrzemski, of course, is because he doesn't have the wall right behind him, but they're still playing relatively shallow, even for Perez and Bench.
It was interesting as Sparky Anderson commented in Boston that he had his outfield watch the Red Sox outfielders and play on Sunday the same distances as the Red Sox outfielders were playing. Figured that they knew the wind and knew the ballpark. Of course, a lot depends on who's up. This man's up. You're not too shallow. There's a high drive deep down the left field line. Looks like it's going foul, though. He hits a lot of foul home runs. That didn't reach home run territory. But he gets out in front of the ball. It's 330 down the left field line here. You might have seen when Marty took you around, wanted to talk about. Did you ever mention those meters around here, Marty?
It's never talked about much anymore, Kurt. It did when the stadium initially opened in 1970, but I don't think people really pay much attention to them anymore.
He hit one 100.58 meters, man. The one-strike delivery. 1 ball, 1 strike to bench. 1 out. The Red Sox are ahead. Carlton Fisk hit a home run to lead off the second to left field. And that's the scoring thus far. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That's that slider. It's his good pitch when he gets it going for him. It's very hard and breaks very quickly. 5-6 inches. If he keeps it outside and a little down, it's tough.
Wise was hurt by home runs this year. He allowed 34 homers. Those are those high pitches. Bounding ball to Petrocelli. He'll have a deep throw. And it's there. Petrocelli's playing a marvelous third. 2 down. He made a stop in the 9th inning the other day. Looked like he had a pair of tweezers.
And he's playing very deeply for Johnny Bench especially. And here's another adjustment that the infielders have to make. They play deeper, and they've got a longer throw. And Bench came close, half a step, almost beat it out.
2 outs. George Foster's had 3 hits in 8 times. He hit the ball in the nose in the first game. I think a couple of hits and lining out. Petrocelli, for a fellow who was always going to retire, has played quite a playoff and World Series so far.
Kurt, our producer, Roy Hammerman, got in touch with the trainer of Cincinnati, Larry Starr, and Larry Starr says nothing is wrong with Gary Nolan.
All right, 2 down, nobody on. Pat Darcy still warming up, though, in the red bullpen. 1-0, Boston leading Cincinnati. Foster steps out a lot. There's Darcy. Foster's played straight away and fairly deep. 300 season for him with 23 homers. High and away, a ball to George Foster. What a pickup he's been by Cincinnati. They've made some shrewd trades. Not only do they have a flowering farm system, but now and then they make a trade that really pays off for them. That's what you have to do. The Wise trade has paid off for the Red Sox a year later than they thought. They didn't know he'd have a sore arm last year after they got him from the Cardinals. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 down, nobody on. The Red Sox leading the Reds 1-0. Wise working out of that short stretch. Outside, 2-1 to Foster. Let's check Wise's control this year. He averaged 2.5 walks every 9 innings. And he averaged, that's good, and 5 strikeouts every 9 innings. 2 balls and a strike to George Foster. Fired by the from the Giants. That high fastball riding up on him for shortstop Frank Duffy and pitcher Vern Giescher. And that was back in May '71 when they made the trade. The Red fans said, "Who is George Foster?" Now they know. 2-2 count. Foster keeps doing that to pitchers, trying to break up their tempo. Foul back. 2 down, nobody on. A 2-2 count to George Foster.
Kurt, I thought Joe Morgan made an interesting observation around the batting cage today. They were asking about them not hitting up in Boston. And he said, it's World Series pressure. He said, it affects us in the way that we are very anxious. We're swinging at pitches that ordinarily we don't during the season. He said, even I did against Lee, a ball that was 2-3 inches off the ground.
3-2 count. Wise had a 3-2 count to Perez. He got Bench out. Now he runs it 3-2 to George Foster. But Dave Concepcion swinging a bat in the on-deck circle. have their first base runner. Foster attempted only 3 steals all year, successful twice. Here's Concepcion coming up. He's had 1 hit in 8 times. He can take the ball deep to right center and to right field. He can pull. Fine all-around shortstop. Came back from a fractured ankle a couple of years ago, and he hasn't lost a half a step. Red Sox leading. They have 1 run, 2 hits. The Reds have no runs, no hits. You just saw the Reds' first base runner, Foster at first. Cooper plays off the bag, a step on him, a holding step off the bag. There he goes. Here's the throw. It's there, and it's through. Foster's up, and he's on the way to third. Looks like the Reds are going to run any time now.
And that was not a bad throw either. It looked like Doyle got over a little too late. I don't know if he was surprised by Foster going. And watch Foster. And watch how slowly Denny Doyle gets over. He took that a little bit on the run. The ball was right on the money. He could have short-hopped it.
Foster winds up at third. Here it is again. Fisk's throw is there in time. It appears here on the rerun. It's low. Looks like it might have partially hit the runner, too. An error's been charged on Carlton Fisk, which allowed Foster to go to third. Well, checking, they say, but I wouldn't think you'd charge Doyle an error in the dirt and everything with that one. Alan Ross shrugs his shoulders, as you never know. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Reds have a runner at third, 2 down. The Red Sox are leading 1-0. A left-handed batter, Geronimo's on deck. Oh, I had him swinging at that breaking pitch, that sharp slider breaking away. They have charged Carlton Fisk with an error. Throwing error.
I beg to differ with the 3 official scores.
Well,
I don't.
I thought it hit the runner on the rerun. Can't charge an error to the runner. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Wise is throwing a lot of pitches in this inning. There's Foster at third, 2 down. Charlie Feeney, president of the Baseball Writers Association of America, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, Cliff Keene of the Boston Globe, and Bob Herschel of the Cincinnati Enquirer are the 3 official scores of the game. The 2-2 delivery. Check swing, foul back. Dave Concepcion is the batter here in the last of the second. Sparky Anderson, just 41, despite the silver hair. He was a bat boy for Rod Daydew out of the USC. And Daydew was here tonight, very proud of Fred Lynn and Bill Lynn, who played for him, and Bill Lee. The 2-2 delivery. There's a drive in the right field. Evans is over, and he has it. The side's retired. Evans getting a quick break on that one. No runs, no hits, 1 error, 1 left at the end of 2. 1-0 Boston. Some of the fans around the country have watched all the games of the World Series, and they've seen this Pat Darcy up early. Sparky Anderson, I asked him about it, Marty. He said, I like to have my long relief man up early, warming up in case the starter gets into trouble. He's ready to come on in, and also a starting pitcher may not have his stuff when he starts the ball game, and we want to be ready with somebody.
I think that's a big thing in Darcy's case, Kurt, because he was a starter for the Reds for most of the season.
Rick Wise, in a strange role, a batter. He used to be one of the best hitting pitchers in the National League. He hits a fly ball in the left field. He's had a career total of 15 lifetime homers, and he flies out to Foster. That's the first time he's been at bat in the last 2 years with a strange situation of one league using a designated hitter and the other league not, and yet playing the World Series in the old conditions. 1 down. The Red Sox pitchers, by the way, the last month took 20 minutes of batting practice every day when they thought, they were in there and or had a shot. Until then, they never took any batting practice during the regular season. Cecil Cooper up. He hits a high fly in the shallow left. Out goes Concepcion. On comes Foster. And we have 2 down. Foster one-hands everything.
Here, one of these years, I'd like to see the American League rebel and say, hey, listen, World Series time, you play our rules in our park. What's going on here?
Well, Tony, right now you're not running baseball. 2 down, nobody on. Denny Doyle up, grounded out. 1-0 on Carlton Fisk home run. That's the Red Sox story as they're leading in the 3rd. Gary Nolan looks sharp this inning. Comes in with a curveball inside. 1-0. Nolan, born in Hurlong, California, lives in Oroville, California. Fouled away by the little scrapper. The Angels get a player for him, you know, after the season. And I think Harry Dalton is expecting a good one, the way Doyle's come through for the Red Sox. He wants either Fred Lynn or Jim Rice. He won't get him. 2 balls and a strike to Denny Doyle. 2 down, nobody on. And Doyle pops it up. Bench points out to the 3rd baseman, Pete Rose. Pete squeezes it. 3 up, 3 down for the Red Sox. At the end of 2.5, Boston 1, Cincinnati nothing. Packed in Jam Riverfront Stadium, we'll watch Cesar Geronimo lead off for Cincinnati in the last of the 3rd. Then the pitcher, Gary Nolan, to the top of the order for Pete Rose. Geronimo is looking for his first hit in postseason competition. He went 0 for 10 against the Pirates, and he's 0 for 4 against the Red Sox pitching. Rick Wise has allowed 1 base runner so far. That was Foster, who walked in the 2nd. The Red Sox had a pair of hits in the 2nd. Fisk led off with a tremendous home run to left, and Petrocelli single. That's been the hitting so far. We haven't seen any raw power in this series yet. Geronimo played as a pull hitter to right. Darrell Johnson, the Red Sox manager, and that's Eddie Poposky. He used to play with the House of David. When he was 19, couldn't grow a beard. The pitch, bounding ball to Doyle. High hop to him on the artificial surface. 1 away. Imagine the New England fans who've never watched their club play too much in artificial surface, even when they're on the road in the American League, are amazing at these high hops. The second one, like a Wyoming jackrabbit. They get bigger and bigger with every hop.
You can become a one-handed infielder on this because you get a true hop, although it's a faster hop. You don't have to get in front of every ball.
All right, now you were an infielder. I want to ask you something in a minute. 1 down, nobody on. Gary Nolan up. Rick Wise's pitch is a strike. Nolan is a lifetime National League average as a batter, 147. How much did the change from grass to artificial surface bother you?
Kurt, I had a chance to play exhibition games, the first 3 games in the Astrodome. We were coming north one year, and it is a grainy infield, and the ball picks up a top spin, and you think you're going to get in front of a ball, and the ball will scoot by you at times if you're not used to it. But you always get a true hop. The ball always bounds up to you, which means you can make a little bit better plays if you have to extend yourself. Never scoots.
1 out, nobody on. 2 balls and a strike to Gary Nolan. 1-0. Boston ahead. Last of the 3rd inning. There's a ground ball fielded by Cecil Cooper at first base. Cooper was playing toward the bag, or that one might have slipped into the right field corner. He figured Nolan to swing late. Here's Pete Rose up. Rose has quite a hobby. He has a videotape machine at home. And he came up to me tonight, Marty and Tony, around the batting cage and said, well, I got the tape of the first 2 games of the World Series now. Play it for my grandchildren. He tapes all sorts of sports events, films, and he taped for his home the first 2 games of the World Series from Boston. He'll tape the entire series at home. Pitch of the strike, 0-1. Rose grounded out to second base his first time. He's consistent both sides. He hit .323 right-handed, .315 left-handed. Pounding ball to Doyle again. Look out, bad hop. Doyle got the handle, though. And the Reds go quietly down. 1, 2, 3 in the last of the third. At the end of 3, it's 1-0 Boston. First time Carl Yastrzemski's played in Riverfront Stadium since 1970. And he enjoyed himself. This is against the A's, a 3-time American League batting champ. Back in 1970, Yastrzemski was the most valuable player of the All-Star game. He had 4 hits that night. 4 hits and 6 times up. And he's leading off for the Red Sox in the 4th. Yastrzemski, Fisk, and Lynn. Carl's now made his permanent home in Boca Raton, Florida. Just moved down there. Well, you get a little older, you want that heat and that sunshine.
Why were you looking
years
at
old.
How were you looking at us?
That's what I said. Pitches inside a ball to Yastrzemski. He grounded out his first time. The outfield playing him deep and toward right in center and right field, but they know he can slice to left, so they leave a gap in left center. Very quiet game so far. 1-0 Boston. Nolan's fastball is inside. 2-0. This is really the first hitter he's been behind on like this. 2 balls, no strikes to Yastrzemski. Fastball for a strike. 2-1. Carlton, Fisk on deck. Bounding ball to first baseman Perez. Tony again with an unassisted play, his 3rd of the game. And now we've had 5, 6 in a row go down before Gary Nolan. And here's the only man that scored tonight, Carlton Fisk, who pounded a home run to left field in the 2nd inning. That's been it, 1-0. The Red Sox have had 2 hits, the Reds no hits. Red Sox have committed 1 error that hasn't hurt them so far.
This bat through September for the Red Sox, his Baltimore challenge, was probably the biggest bat in the lineup. He got a lot of big hits, and of course his throwing arm helped a little bit too behind the plate.
Well, they had the great rookie seasons from Rice and Lynn, but the last month, 6 weeks, this man was probably the most valuable player in the club. And what a help he is at Fenway Park. 1 ball, no strikes. Nolan behind. He didn't like that call. 2-0. He got behind Yastrzemski 2-0, but got him out. A left-hander, Fred Lynn, is on deck. This is like a July night here. 81 degrees. That count runs to 3-0 on Fisk. He's trying to keep the ball away from him.
Darrell Johnson pretty good at letting his men pick his pitch. It wouldn't surprise me a bit if Fisk gets his pitch that he might go after it.
He did, and he blasted foul deep down the left field line. He was letting him hit 3-0 in Boston with a short fence, but the wind coming in, and he gave Fisk the green light on 3-0.
Good, I've heard it said of Darrell Johnson that he's a conservative manager as we look at him, but we've seen him do some things in the Championship Series and, of course, in the World Series, keeping his base runners going, playing very aggressively on the base paths. Burleson going after a 3-0 pitch.
Johnson played in the '61 World Series for Cincinnati. Fisk is on with a walk. That's the first walk given up by Gary Nolan. Runner on first. Fisk runs well for a catcher. 1 out. Fred Lynn coming up. Lynn came up to USC as a pitcher. They converted him into an outfielder. Lynn, I noticed the last 2 games, Tony, looked like to me he's swinging too hard. He's been uppercutting the ball.
They started pitching him inside, and he looked like he was trying to open up to get out in front to hit the ball, and then they started going away, and he's losing the ball or leaving the ball too soon instead of hitting the ball to left field.
He starts him off with the inside pitch, 1-0. Lynn lives in El Monte, California with his father and wife. They've just told Perez, get off the bag a step or two. This fella can line one down the right field line on you. And he hits it down the line, just foul. Foul by a foot, or else that might have been extra bases in the corner. 1 ball, 1 strike to Freddie Lynn. Fisk going back to first with 1 out, and the Red Sox ahead 1-0.
Lynn, a very smart young hitter. He's learned a lot from Rod Dado, his former coach, but he said his father taught him more. And he's trying to take advantage of that hole between Morgan and Perez. That's why Tony's playing back.
He might be the first player ever to win the Rookie of the Year and the Most Valuable Player of the Year award. There's the hole between Perez and Morgan. The count 1-1. That's a curve that had him fooled. Beautiful slow curve by Gary Nolan.
But I don't know if that's a curve or that changeup he throws that he turns over and drifts away. Let's watch the movement on the ball. It appears to be going away. It's one of the changeups that he turns over. It looks a little bit like a screwball.
It does something. Good pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Fred Lynn. Pitch again. He lines it into right field for a base hit. Fisk is rounding second, heading for third. Griffey's throws coming in. Cut off by Concepcion. Throws to first, and they get Lynn.
Freddie Lynn slipped and fell down. He knew the cutoff was executed. He went around and thought if the ball was thrown over Concepcion's head, he would keep on going. And when he tried to stop on the artificial surface, his feet gave way. He fell down and couldn't get back. Well executed cutoff by the Reds.
The Red Sox made some costly mistakes on the bases Sunday.
Here it is, Kurt. Ken Griffey with a fine arm, and as Tony said, he almost overthrew Concepcion, and Lynn slipping as he rounded first base. A quick throw to Tony Perez, and even though the out call by first base umpire Dick Stello, the Boston first base coach, Johnny Pesky, really a little bit upset about the call.
The Red Sox made some base running mistakes Sunday. They would have had runners on first and third, 1 out. Now it's 2 down. Fisk at third and Petrocelli up. Petrocelli singled his first time. So it's 1 run, 3 hits for the Red Sox. No runs, no hits for the Reds. We're in the top of the 4th inning. Curveballs hit up the middle. Morgan backhanding the ball, makes the play. Great play. Joe Morgan saved a run with that one. No runs. 1 hit, 1 left. We'll have a rerun of that play. The score, 1-0 Boston.
He plants that right foot. A lot of times an infielder will slide going to his right on the dirt, but you can't do it on artificial surface. You've got to break yourself to a halt. He did it so well, and he is as proud of that glove of his as anything in baseball, I think.
Well, he saved a run with that stop up the middle and back a second. And the Reds come up in the last of the 4th, trailing 1-0 with Griffey, Morgan, and Perez the batters. Griffey grounded out to second his first time. Rick Wise has allowed just 1 base runner. He walked Foster in the second. Shea toward right for Griffey. The infield in. Step or 2. Ready to unload in a hurry. There's Petrocelli inside at third. Burleson in about 3 steps at short. And even Doyle's in against the left-handed batter, a step or 2. 1-0 to Griffey. Foul back. 1-1.
Marty, Kurt mentioned earlier the number of infield hits that Ken Griffey got during the season, but he doesn't get a whole lot of bunts, does he?
No, he doesn't, Tony, and he worked on it extensively in spring training and really never seemed to be able to come around effectively to bunt the baseball. He had 7 bunts during the course of the season, but of course had the biggest infield hit he had all year long in the 10th inning against Pittsburgh.
He's leading off last of the 4th. 1-1 pitch. That was Wise's breaking delivery, and it was low and inside to him. 2-1. Pat Darcy is still warming up in the Red bullpen, and we're wondering about Gary Nolan. 2 balls and a strike. There's a high fly in the left center. Lynn drawing a beat on it. 1 down. Fred Lynn's had 3 putouts so far. There's Darcy. He's been warming up every inning. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Joe Morgan fly to center. Gets a hand from the Red fans for his sparkling play off the bat of Rico Petrocelli. They don't have to tell Wise keep him off the bases here in this Riverfront Stadium. He flied out his first time. talking to Morgan about base stealing. Strike. He said, I could have stolen 80 or 85 bases this year. I'm not bragging. I'm just stating fact. And we got out in front. I didn't want to pound my body out. Wanted to save it for the postseason. So I didn't try to steal much late in the year. Fouls it back. He says, I don't know how Lou Brock does it, but he doesn't hit the dirt as much as I do going back to first. He says, I slide back a lot, and it starts to take something out of you. And he's right. Can you imagine just diving on that ground night after night, day after day, 3 or 4 times a game? Take a couple of years off your career. 1 out, nobody on. 2 strikes to Joe Morgan. 1-0, Red Sox ahead. Last of the 4th. Swung late. Wise is fast tonight. Darcy now is set down. And all is quiet in the Cincinnati bullpen. .132 walks for Morgan this year. 4th in the league in batting at .327. Threw him an overhand curveball and missed. 1-2. One out, bases empty. The 1-2 pitch. There's a drive hit in the deep center. Back goes Lynn. He's plenty of room. And the rookie grabs it for his 4th put out of the game.
He's a marvel the way he can take his eye completely off the ball, as so many great outfielders have been able to do, and he's got a chance to be a great outfielder, but he just takes his eye off completely, as you saw, picks the ball right back up in there. Well, some just can't do it and never learn.
Yeah, he was, I've said it before, and I'll say it again, you see some come along every now and then, and he was just born to play Major League Baseball. 2 down, nobody on. Tony Perez fly to center his first time up. A high breaking pitch missing. Ball 1. To join us late, Carlton Fisk smashed a home run to left field to lead off the 2nd inning, and that's been it. 1-0 Red Sox. The count is 2-0 in favor of the batter. No hits so far by the Reds, but 2 down in the 4th. They've had 1 base runner, Foster, who walked. They're playing deep. Boy, look at that Burleson, deep for Perez. He's playing a shallow left field. There's a strike. Look how deep Burleson's playing Perez, Tony.
That'll show you what kind of confidence he has in his arm. He has an excellent throwing arm. He isn't as fast as Concepcion. He's quick.
2 balls and a strike to Tony Perez. 2 out, nobody on. Three and 1 count. Now Wise asks for a new ball. Johnny Bench on deck.
They bunch Perez in the outfield. They really give him the left and right field foul lines.
Bench watching Wise intently. 3-1 pitch. He walked him. That's the 2nd walk given up by Wise. Here's Johnny Bench coming up. He grounded out to 3rd in his first trip. Perez attempted only 3 steals this year. Successful 1. Foster attempted only 3, as we told you earlier, and he's already stolen a base in this game.
Fiska's going out to the mound now to have a conference with Wise, and we wonder, with Wise getting a little wild high, if he's not reminding him about that follow-through to come on down through.
What? Those are his pitching glasses now. He had a better record on the road, winning 12, losing 5 this year, than he did at Fenway Park, where he won 7 and lost 7. Bench said to the umpire, I want to take a look at that ball. 1-0, Boston ahead. Perez at first for the Reds, 2 down in the last of the 4th. They're back deep for Bench. He was drafted in the 2nd round when he was a teenager, and Bernie Carbo over in the Red Sox was picked ahead of him by the Reds. A strike. 0-1 to Bench. Bench is a great ambassador for the game. He's very personable, gracious to fans all over. There goes the runner. The throw down. And he's out. Safe. Perez steals. Tony Perez, only 1 steal this year. George Foster, 2 steals, are both stolen tonight.
No chance for Fisk. He might have got him had he made a perfect control, but Cooper was playing back of him. And there he goes. And you haven't seen that too often, have you, Marty?
I'll tell you, it's very, very surprising, Tony. You expect to see the likes of Griffey and Concepcion and Morgan and people like that, but certainly not Tony Perez.
That was sort of a delayed steal. I think he caught Fisk by surprise. And they're roaring here. They were the unlikely sight of Tony Perez stealing second. 2 down. That wakes the Red fans up. And Bench hits the drive deep to left. Going, gone.
And you've got to wonder how much Wise's concentration was broken by the surprise steal from Tony Perez, but that does not detract from Johnny Bench being the kind of player he is. As we look at that dugout, he has been a man, Johnny Bench has, who has responded to pressure throughout his career. He's a man who creates excitement with a bat glove, and he even stole a few bases this year.
That was the first hit for Cincinnati, and they have the lead, 2-1. Johnny Bench's 3rd World Series homer. He hit one in 71 and 72, and now in 75. And this all came after 2 out, nobody on. When Perez walked and stole second. And Bench hit that home run over the back wall off the facing of the bleachers. George Foster puts a foul ball in the seats for strike 1. Foster walked his first time. And the Reds have 2 runs, 1 hit. The Red Sox 1 run, 3 hit. Perez's steal seemed to wake everybody up here. They're sitting back quietly. Now they're still roaring. Right, we had that roaring Fenway Park crowd in Boston. For the Red Sox, it'll be just the opposite here in Cincinnati. No balls, 2 strikes to Foster. Petrocelli guarding the third base line. That one's back out of play. 0-2 count. The slogan we've seen around the city and the area, everywhere, and they have the banner hanging out in the bleachers off the 3rd tier. When you're hot, your Reds hot. Right now, the Reds are leading 2-1 in the last of the 4th. The 2-strike pitch to George Foster. Try to tease him. 1-2. As we told you earlier, home runs have hurt Rick Wise this year, and Bench's home run tagged him. The 1-2 pitch. 2-2 count. There's Concepcion hoping for a shot. Foster played straight away and deep. 2 outs, base is empty. Ground ball to Petrocelli. His throw, plenty of time. The Reds are gone, but they lead now with 2 runs, a hit. Nobody left at the end of 4. Cincinnati 2 and Boston 1. The preceding announcement was furnished to the public service by Major League Baseball. As we suspicion, there was more to that warming up down there every inning that was obvious Evidently, Gary Nolan's arm or shoulders tightened up on him, and Pat Darcy's come on now to pitch for the Reds in the 5th. He's facing Dwight Evans. First pitch to him's a ball. Well, Gary Nolan went 4 innings. He can get no decision here. He didn't pitch the 5 innings. They left the game ahead. He allowed 1 run, 3 hits. He walked 1. He had no strikeouts. Darcy won 11 and lost 5 this year. 25 years old, born in Troy, Ohio. Lives in Tucson. A ground ball to Concepcion. Little flip throw, and Evans is out. 1 down in the 5th. Nolan was forced to leave the game because of stiffness in his neck. They've announced on the scoreboard. He must have told his manager about it in the 2nd inning, and that's why they had Darcy ready, in case they kept stiffening up on him. Evidently, the spasm wouldn't release. Pitch is in there for a strike to Burleson. Darcy had 22 starts in 27 games. He had a good year. And Eastwick, Darcy, McEnany, they came up with 3 good young pitchers. Foul ball by Burleson. 0-2.
They've tried to change Burleson. Look at the way he wraps that bat around his neck. They said he could not hit that way. They tried to change him in the minor leagues. His manager, Darrell Johnson, did. But he seems to get the fat part of the bat on the ball and had a fine year this year, driving in key runs.
Red Sox have 1 out, nobody on. There's a ground ball in the hole to left field. And Rick Burleson has his 5th hit of the series. He and Petrocelli each have 5 hits now to lead the series in base hits. 1 out, Burleson at first, Rick Wise. The Red Sox pitcher coming up with the Reds ahead in the game, 2-1, top of the 5th. Home runs accounting for the scoring. Home run by Fisk, nobody on for the Red Sox in the 2nd. And Johnny Bench's home run with Perez aboard in the last of the 4th.
And more action now in that Cincinnati bullpen. Clay Carroll has gone on down there. They're looking for the bunt. Darrell Johnson has some options. There's Carroll.
That pitch is in for a strike to him as he bluffed it. Pete Rose charging from 3rd. Burleson at first, 1 down. They go to that bullpen in a hurry, the Reds. Bounding ball hit slowly. Cut off by Rose. Throws to 2nd. Gets the front man, Burleson. Rose actually was going backwards for that ball, toward the shortstop.
I think Rose considers that his best play. He says he has a lot of range to his left, and he proves it right here, cutting in front of Dave. But that ball had 1 more hop to Concepcion. It may have been a tough play at 2nd base as Burleson got a good jump. Fine play by Pete.
Rick Wise at first base. 2 down, and Cecil Cooper, the batter. He is grounded out and flied out. He hit very well against the A's in the playoffs. He has only 1 out of 10 in the World Series.
Bench from behind the plate is really directing traffic, moving his outfielders Foster farther to the left field line, or closer to it, rather.
High fastball to Cecil Cooper. Reds are leading 2-1, top of the 5th. Wise a short lead at first. Now it's ball 2. Perez is playing off the bag against the left-handed batter. Well, if Perez and Foster are going to try and steal, I want to wait and see what Concepcion and those fellows are going to do tonight. Are they going to run everybody?
Couple of the unlikeliest Reds, Bert.
You better believe they'll steal if Wise is in there if they get on base, because he's considered to have a very slow move to first base and a home plate.
2 balls and a strike to Cecil Cooper. Rick Wise at first, 2 down. Cooper hits a hot shot to Joe Morgan. He boots it, picks it up, and measures it off in time. That shows a poised ball player in that play. No runs, a hit, 1 left. We've gone halfway in the score, 2-1 Cincinnati. Well, we've had a tight first half of this game. Home runs, Bench 2-run homer, Fisk a solo homer. It's 2-1. The Reds are leading. It's my pleasure now to turn the play-by-play microphone over to Marty Brenneman, who is the voice of the Cincinnati Reds, not only here in Cincinnati, but how many stations throughout this area, Marty?
Over 100, Kurt.
You got a bigger network than we have. Let's go.
Hello again, everybody, as we go back to baseball action here in the third game of the 1975 World Series. And for the Boston Red Sox, or rather Cincinnati, here in the bottom of the fifth inning, it'll be the bottom third of the batting order: Davy Concepcion, Cesar Geronimo, and pitcher Pat Darcy. Rick Wise, who pitched 3+ innings of no-hit baseball before giving up a 2-out walk in the last inning to Tony Perez, then the stolen base, and then the first Cincinnati hit, a Johnny Bench home run to left field to give the Reds their present 2-1 lead. As Wise concludes his warm-ups to catcher Carlton Fisk, Dave Concepcion will stroll plateward for his second shot at the Boston right-hander tonight. Davey is 0 for 1 at a fly ball to right field his first time up, 1 for 9 so far in this 1975 World Series. This young man has as his goal to be the best Venezuelan shortstop in the history of Major League Baseball, and well, you're talking about Tony Chico Carrasquel and Louis Aparicio as forerunners.
Talk about Aparicio, you're talking about something.
First pitch on the inside part of the plate for a taken strike. Concepcion questioning plate umpire Larry Barnett about that pitch. This guy closed out the season very, very strong. In fact, he had 340 the final month of the year and closed out the year with a 9-game hitting streak. He hits one a ton back into left center field. Looking up is Yastrzemski, and gone, a home run. Davy Concepcion taking the grand tour as he takes Rick Wise downtown with a shot to left center field, and, well, the Reds go out in front 3-1.
No matter what happens the rest of this ball game, win or lose, the headlines in the Venezuelan papers are going to be Concepcion, and that's front page. That's what happened in the championship series when he homered against Pittsburgh. You mentioned those two names, Carrasquel and Aparicio, played against both Marty and Kurt. Concepcion has more all-around ability than either of them. All round.
With the bat and the glove you're talking about.
Here's Cesar Geronimo now as Concepcion homers to begin the fifth inning for Cincinnati, and we have activity underway in the Boston Red Sox bullpen as a right-hander and a left-hander gets up to begin throwing. Geronimo bounced out to second his first time. He is ahead of the count at 2 balls and no strikes.
Right-hander Reggie Cleveland, left-hander Jim Burton.
So Darrell Johnson has seen Rick Wise give up a pair of long ones. One by Bench in the last inning with a man on, and now by Concepcion. The only 2 Cincinnati base hits up to this point have been home runs. There's a call strike. Through 4+ innings, Wise has not struck out anybody. He has walked 2. There's manager Darrell Johnson. The Boston Red Sox, he has seen his team now trailing 3-1, and that for Concepcion, his first World Series home run. Pitch backs him off the plate as Wise comes high and tight. It's ball 3. 3-1 the count to Geronimo. On deck for Cincinnati is pitcher Pat Darcy. Wise needs a strike. Geronimo a pitch away from a walk. He swings. He hits one back into deep right field. Going back is Evans, and it's out of here. Well, Kurt and Tony, Cincinnati putting on a long ball exhibition here as they have had 3 hits off Rick Wise, and all of them home runs.
And what great contributions the Latin American ball players have made to this club. Bench hit a home run today, but it was Perez who stole second base. May have rattled Wise. Concepcion and Geronimo with home runs. Darrell Johnson.
Well, in Boston, Sparky Anderson during that rain time said, "We've had a kiddie car running around here, not the big red machine. And you can't win with a half run a game, but we're going to get going and swing that bat. You don't win 108 games and hit the ball like the Reds did in Boston. They have shown tonight how they can swing the bat."
Well, surprisingly, Darrell Johnson has elected to leave Rick Wise in the ball game, although he keeps the 2 pitchers warming up down in the Boston bullpen.
Jim Burton, the left-hander. Reggie Cleveland, the right-hander.
So back-to-back home runs in the Cincinnati fifth inning by Davey Concepcion and Cesar Geronimo, the 7 and 8 batters in the Reds lineup. Here's Darcy up for the first time. He takes a healthy cut and does not get it.
Those are not ordinary 7 and 8 batters, and you know it, Marty.
I'll agree with that, Tony. Pat Darcy up for his first time. He came on in relief of Gary Nolan, and quickly behind to Rick Wise as pitcher faces pitcher, 2 strikes. The crowd here at Riverfront Stadium, and they've got standing room only here tonight, still buzzing on the back-to-backers by the Cincinnati Reds. Very quiet, subdued crowd the first 3+ innings. The Reds were not doing anything to speak of, but all of a sudden they come to life and lead 4-1 here. There's strike 3 call as Larry Barnett emphatically calls Pat Darcy out on strikes, and that's the first of the game for Rick Wise.
Rick Wise is facing a dubious record that I know he doesn't want to tie. The record for the most home runs allowed by a pitcher in a World Series game is 4. Charlie Root gave up 4 in 32 for the Cubs. Gene Thompson for the Reds in 39, and Dick Hughes with the Cards in 1967. Wise has allowed 3 in this game.
Here's a man they refer to as Charlie Hustle. Pete Rose up for the 3rd time, and he bluffs a bunt, and it's strike 1 to him as he turns around and comes back questioning Larry Barnett. The Red Sox have out-hit the Reds 4-3, but the Reds have had 3 homers. 2-run shot in the 4th by Perez, and a bench rather, and back-to-back homers in the 5th inning by Concepcion and Geronimo. Strike 2 is called to Rose. Jim Burton and Reggie Cleveland continuing to heat up in the Boston Red Sox bullpen. The speckled Rick Wise looking into Carlton Fisk to get the sign. Rose goes the other way with a pitch, but hits a high, towering foul ball well back in the seats along the left field line.
Now, Marty, every year we get new fans watching the World Series. I imagine some of them are saying, has this ever happened before? 2 players, one right behind the other, hit home runs. This happened 7 times before.
7 times in World Series competition, back-to-back home runs. Well, maybe Tony was involved.
Not me, boy.
Well, the crowd getting on Rick Wise a little bit. Things not going at all well for him as he drops a throwback from Carlton Fisk. Throws it a hold and holding it 2 strikes. On deck for Cincinnati is right fielder Ken Griffey. One ball and 2 strikes on the waiting Rose. That one is hit hard into right center. Lynn racing back, still on the run. He cannot play it. Rose coming to second as Dwight Evans picks up the ball, and Rose will go in standing up with a 3-base hit. Well, the extra base hits are ringing out off the bats of the Cincinnati Reds.
And we saw what Sparky Anderson prophesied. He said if they play shallow like they did in Fenway, they're going to get hurt. The ball was hit very hard, a line drive, and watch Charlie Hustle, as you just called him, hustle right from home plate.
He hit the ball very well, Tony, and as you pointed out, you simply cannot play shallow in this ballpark. Freddie Lynn playing shallow, and a deep blast to center by Pete Rose, and actually a stand-up 3-base hit for him. Well, Darrell Johnson is back to the Riverfront Stadium mound for the 2nd time in the inning, and that means that is going to be all for Rick Wise. The left-hander Jim Burton is going to come on out of the Red Sox bullpen as he makes a slow walk from the visitors' bullpen here at Riverfront Stadium along the left field line. So there's a break in the action here at Cincinnati. The score, the Reds 4, the Boston Red Sox 1. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network. New pitcher on the mound for the Boston Red Sox, and he's a left-hander, Tony. Jim Burton on in relief of Rick Wise.
Pretty much of a power pitcher. He throws a lot of fastballs. His fastball will tail into the left-handed hitters. He gets it down low, it'll sink. There was his curveball, that delivery. Doesn't change speeds too often. Give you a good shot of this one as he's warming up to the curve. If he can keep it in that spot when the hitter steps up to the plate, it's a pretty good pitch.
How about 4 hits, 3 homers, and a triple?
Not a bad slugging percentage, Kurt.
Oh.
Jim Burton is a rookie, brought up during the season. He's 26 years old on the 27th of October, and a Michigan native, now making his home in Rochester, Michigan. Won a game, lost a couple, with a 2.89 ERA for the Red Sox in 29 games. Now the Boston infield comes in, with the Reds having already struck for 2 runs on back-to-back home runs. Pete Rose at third base with a triple, and there you see Ken Griffey stepping in to try and get Rose in with a 5th Cincinnati run. Left-hander against left-hander. And the fastball is up high. Pete Rose at third base. He hit one and hit it a ton to center field. Freddie Lynn really appeared to get an excellent jump on the ball, but the ball just going over his outstretched glove.
Graham is giving a lot of signs down at third.
Here's a 1-0 delivery, and that's high and outside. 2 balls and no strikes on the Cincinnati right fielder, native of Denora, Pennsylvania, Ken Griffey.
A lot of those signs, in fact, most of them are decoys. Gramis wants to put into the minds of the Red Sox that there's a possibility of a squeeze play. Burton pitching from the stretch.
Griffey 0 for 2, a bouncing ball to second, a fly ball to center field. And he takes a strike at the letters from the left-hander Burton. 2-1. The Reds and the Red Sox splitting 2 at Fenway Park in Boston. Tiant shutting out Cincinnati on 5 hits, 6-0 Saturday. The Reds scoring 2 in the 9th inning Sunday. The score come from behind 3-2 win, and now trying to go up 2-1 in the 3rd game of this 1975 World Series. Rose taking his edge off the bag at third, and Griffey takes it high and inside as he backpedals away from the plate. Joe Morgan going back to the dugout to talk with manager Sparky Anderson. He's the on-deck hitter.
I wonder if he was reading a little, giving a little mini scouting report to Morgan as to what Burton throws.
3 balls and 1 strike. Boston infield in with 1 out, 2 runs across, and Pete Rose occupying the third base bag. Burton with a pitch, and Griffey is on with a walk. Tony, you talk about Sparky Anderson maybe giving Joe Morgan a bit of information concerning Jim Burton. And these 2 clubs, of course, scouted each other well. Ray Shore for Cincinnati, the Red Super Scout Frank Malzone, Eddie Casco, both seeing Cincinnati and a whole lot of them during the last month or so of the season. Joe Morgan standing in a run-producing situation. He's had a couple of hits and 9 times in this series, but 0 for 2 tonight, with consecutive fly balls to center field. Petrocelli playing about even with a bag and well off the line at third. Burleson and the second baseman Doyle a double play depth. Here's a throw to first base. Griffey not taking much of a lead to speak of.
Burton not known to have a good move to first base, and he's a little bit slow going to home. He's tall and lanky, and many times it is a problem holding men on for a pitcher.
Well, Jim Burton bound and determined to keep Griffey as close to the bag as he possibly can. Ken Griffey will run. He had 3 stolen bases in the League Championship Series sweep over Pittsburgh.
That's right. I was about to point out they had 10 out of 10 against the Pirates. 10 stolen bases in 10 attempts.
I'll make it 3 in a row that he's gone that way. Four to 1 the score. Cincinnati over Boston. The Red Sox spotting him a run, or rather the Reds spotting him a run in the second on a Carlton Fisk homer. And the Reds have played long ball 3 times to jump out in front 4-1. Burton eyeing Griffey at first base. To the plate to Morgan. Swing and a miss. Morgan went to hacking on the first pitch to the plate.
The Red fans have had little to cheer about in World Series here in recent years. The Reds have lost 5 out of 6 games at Riverfront Stadium since the new ballpark was built. And tonight, they're roaring every time they've got the shot, and they've had some.
Burton, after again throwing on to first base, now looking down to Carlton Fisk as the Boston catcher hangs aside. Long look. 1 ball and 1 strike to Morgan.
Marty, would you say, as we look at Pete Rose at third and Griffey at first, that Griffey has the best raw speed on this club?
Oh, there's no question about it, Tony, and Joe Morgan will tell you that. himself in a straightaway 100-yard dash. Ken Griffey will defeat anybody fairly easily on this club. Morgan out in front, 2-1.
He really hasn't learned the steal. He does most of it now on sheer speed, doesn't he?
Joe Morgan constantly talked to him during the season of watching the opposing pitcher when you're in the dugout. Get involved in the game to that extent. That's the key to Joe Morgan's success.
He's almost like a player coach in this team.
He's amazing, Kurt. He has tremendous baseball knowledge, easily conveys it. A lot of people think he'd be a great manager one day. Here's a fly ball hit well to right field. That ball is going to be a foul ball. Well, Dwight Evans could do nothing but watch that ball and hope that it stayed foul, which it did.
Joe Morgan, Sparky was telling me yesterday, he does not like men running off first base on him. He does with 2 strikes on a hitter. He gives him the okay. But he says it distracts his concentration.
Burton back of the mound, rubbing up the baseball, and
here we'll see that last line drive foul and see what the base runners do on this. Watch Rose with 1 out. He'll go back immediately to tag up in case the ball is caught. Griffey going about halfway, seeing whether it was going to be fair or not.
2-2, the count on Morgan. And now Burton has gone full to him, and that pitch right there is a pretty good example of the tremendous discipline this man has at the plate, although it was interesting to note when Sparky Anderson announced yesterday that he was moving Morgan back into the number 3 position, that he'd be a little bit more reckless in that spot than he would be in the number 2 position, and that he would go after pitches that normally he might not hit going at number 2.
An RBI spot, not a walk spot.
Burton, before delivering the payoff pitch, again throws on to Cooper at first base. Good close-up shot of the young rookie left-hander Jim Burton for Boston. Morgan with a fly ball into straightaway center field. Now Rose tagging at third. Here's Lynn coming in to make the catch. Here's a throw to the plate, and it will not be in time. The Reds go out in front 5-1. Sacrifice fly for Joe Morgan as he picks up his first RBI in the 1975 World Series. The Reds now lead by 4 runs. And here's Tony Perez, who really seemed to provide the momentum for the Reds back in the last inning after drawing a 2-out walk, surprisingly stealing second base and scoring ahead of Johnny Bench on Bench's home run.
Now's the time to watch Ken Griffey with 2 outs. He wants to get in scoring position.
Absolutely, Tony. You may well see him running there. He goes. High pitch. Down to second. No. The Reds are running and running at will right now, the Boston Red Sox. And with that stolen base,
it's just no contest for Carlton Fisk. Griffey with a great jump and great speed. Carlton has no chance at all.
This is their 3rd stolen base. Perez, Foster, and now Griffey. 3 stolen bases already, and Darrell Johnson's gone out to the mound.
Tony, correct me if I'm wrong, but that did not appear to be a good pitch for Fisk to throw on. It looked like an off-speed pitch.
Looked like a hard breaking ball. It was up in the strike zone, which is what a catcher prefers. It wasn't a good, no matter what he threw in that situation, it was just a great speed and a great jump by Griffey. He wasn't going to get thrown out.
Well, the Red Sox are changing pitchers for the 2nd time in the inning, so there's a break in the action here at Cincinnati with a score. Reds 5, Boston 1.
Remember the World Series Game 4 tomorrow night. Louis Tiant for the Red Sox, Don Gullett for the Reds. Preceded by the baseball world of Joe Garagiola, featuring Foster Brooks and a different kind of baseball story. On NBC Sports, number 1 in live coverage of major sports events all year round. And the Reds with 2 in the 4th, 3 in the 5th. Running wild now on the bases. Bring a right-hander in Cleveland to face Tony Perez.
Reggie Cleveland inheriting a count from the departed Jim Burton, 1-0, the pitch that Ken Griffey stole second base on. 13-game winner for the Red Sox during the 1975 regular season. 2 balls and no strikes to Perez.
Cleveland might have been the most consistent pitcher on the Red Sox staff. From the end of July on through the season, he was about 10 wins, 3 losses. And Lott thought he would start the second game in Fenway Park because of his good championship series performance.
Cleveland checking Griffey at second. Perez with a swing and a miss. It's 2 balls and 1 strike.
The reason they didn't was because of what we saw here today, or tonight, and that is Wise, a high ball pitcher. They wanted a ground ball pitcher at Fenway. They wanted Wise to pitch in a bigger ballpark.
Wise started the second playoff game against the Oakland A's, did not get a decision. He's come back to get the count even against Perez at 2-2. 13 wins, 9 losses for the Red Sox with a .443 earned run average. He made 31 appearances with 20 starts.
Reds today getting the kind of pitchers they seem to thrive on, hard ballers. Hard fastball, hard sliders, not much off-speed stuff.
They wait for that fastball, don't they?
They sure do. Okay, Cleveland cranking it up again as he checks second. Perez fouls it off to the right.
But you know, they talk about the Reds being a fastball hitting team. Any good hitting team has to be a good fastball hitting team. I remember those great Yankee teams you played on, Tony. You fellas loved that fastball. Any good hitting team does.
We love Wilhelm's knuckleball. There's Ben's.
You ever score off it?
It's a no-hitter against us.
Now, this Reds ball club led the majors in run production in 1975, and the Boston Red Sox were second. Full count to Tony Perez. Well, the Reds felt, Tony, they had an advantage possibly in the sense that Rick Wise and Reggie Cleveland, both former National League pitchers, and most of the Reds hitters remember them from their years into this league. There's Kenny Griffey leading at second base. Here, 2 down in the inning. The Reds have struck for a trio and lead Boston 5-1 as we play baseball in the 5th inning. That's all for Tony Perez, and that's all for Cincinnati. A big inning, 3 runs across for the Reds here in the 5th, and at the end of 5 complete. Denny Doyle will open up the Boston Red Sox 6th inning, and the Red Sox, well, they're down by 4 runs. In this, the 3rd game of the World Series and the first of 3 straight nights of World Series action here in Cincinnati's Riverfront Stadium. Pat Darcy misses with a first pitch down low.
And so far, the Red Sox first 3 batters in the lineup have not reached base.
That's right, Kurt. Cooper 0 for 3, Doyle 0 for 2 as he pops it foul, third base side. Rose and Concepcion, and Pete Rose cruises it for the out.
It has been tough all year long, and it will be tough again today for a team to come from behind with that great bullpen that Cincinnati has. And, of course, Sparky uses it. He doesn't waste any time.
None whatsoever. And this is the first World Series appearance, of course, for right-hander Pat Darcy. Reds were almost invincible in this ballpark, winning 64 and losing only 17. That's not counting the wins that they had here against the Pittsburgh Pirates, 2 straight, in the National League Championship Series. 2 balls and no strikes, a count on the left fielder Carl Yastrzemski. He's 0 for 2 and has hit ground balls both times, once to Morgan and once to Tony Perez. Yastrzemski now 2 for 9 in the World Series. Waiting Pat Darcy out as he comes with a fastball that goes to 3-0. On deck for the Boston Red Sox, catcher Carlton Fisk, who has accounted for the only Red Sox run with that homer back in the 2nd. Fastball over on the 3-0 pitch. Darcy has not worked in a game since the 27th of September, and then only 2/3 of an inning in relief. Yaz is on with a 1-out walk.
That ought to be enough for Sparky to get somebody going.
Well, I'll tell you, Tony and Kurt.
You're right.
You're right. Absolutely
there goes
right.
The warm-up action.
Yastrzemski gets a walk. Clay Carroll goes down to the Reds bullpen to begin throwing for what will be the 2nd time tonight.
I don't blame him with the job that he got from his 2 veterans, Carroll and Barbone, and the 2 kids, Eastwick and McEnany.
Fisk has been on both times. The home run in the 2nd, then he drew a walk from Gary Nolan in the 4th inning. The Reds infield looks for the ground ball with 1 out and 1 on. And Darcy having trouble finding the strike zone. Cincinnati 5, Boston 1. Each club has had 4 hits, but all 4 for Cincinnati have been extra base hits, 3 homers and a triple. Strike to him.
You look at this record of the Cincinnati team, 20-game winning margin, 108 wins, their fantastic home record, yet they went 45 games in a row without a complete game.
Sparky felt like that was a misleading figure, Kurt, because of the fact that he had such a deep, deep bullpen. Here's a check swing foul ball. Sparky Anderson and his philosophy in terms of pitching, he feels if he gets a good effort out of his starting pitcher for 7 innings, if he can help it, he's not going to let him lose a ball game.
Pretty much the modern thinking all around now.
And there go the batting averages because of it. Knocked off a few points with specialists, relief specialists, defensive specialists.
Can't win without a good relief, not man, but a couple or three.
It's been the salvation for the Cincinnati club, I'll tell you. Darcy ahead of the hitter. Misses low and inside to Fisk. 2-2 now. In the inning, Doyle has popped out foul ground to Pete Rose, and Yastrzemski has drawn a walk. Now timeout call by the right field foul line umpire, Nick Colosi. The ball apparently got loose out of the Cincinnati bullpen. Darcy taking his time. Perez playing off the bag and behind the runner at first, and now it's down in the dirt, and it's a full count. So Pat Darcy rapidly pitching himself into a problematical situation in the 6th inning. And again, as we mentioned, he's not worked since the 27th of September, and certainly that could have something to do with his possible control problems. There's another walk as he's given up back-to-backers to Yastrzemski and Fisk.
Marty, is Johnny Bench still cutting the middle inside of his glove up when he gets the glove? Have you noticed that he does that?
I don't think he's doing it anymore, Tony. I know he used to do it, but I don't believe he's doing it anymore.
I don't know what the reasoning behind it was. A little bit looser, able to bend it more because he has a one-handed catcher, easier for him to break in.
Sparky Anderson a little bit concerned right now in the Cincinnati dugout, as Darcy has put a couple of runners on the easy way, walks to Yastrzemski and to Fisk. Here's Freddie Lynn, and his ball 1 to him.
You know, he made a great statement tonight. He said in Boston he'd never been treated as nice by an organization as the Red Sox. He says, of course, I want to win the World Series, but we also want a great World Series.
Ran the pitch in on him, a call strike.
This is our showcase.
He told me the same thing earlier tonight, Kurt, signing balls down in the Reds dressing room. He said, we want to win this series, but we want to promote baseball. Right-hander Jim Willoughby is going down to begin throwing for Boston as Lynn fouls the pitch back to the netting, and he's down to Darcy at 1-2.
And he had the pitch he wanted, too, right in his wheelhouse. Little up and in. There's Willoughby. Quite a story for the Red Sox. Had a great streak, helping them toward their Eastern Division championship. Came up from Tulsa. Recommendation of Kenny Boyer.
Runners leading at first and second base with 1 out. Lynn, a foul strike off to the left and out of here. Kurt, I don't know that there's been a rookie for many, many years that has so dominated a league as Fred Lynn. Of course, Jim Rice also.
Rice came strong the last 2 months.
That one a bouncer that gets by Johnny Bench, and both runners will advance.
He scored a wild pitch. No chance. Johnny got down, tried to keep it in front, but the ball bounced way out in front, and when you get a breaking ball, it takes a little bit spin and sometimes bounces away.
Well, a big meeting on the mound right now. Pat Darcy, joined there by Joe Morgan and shortstop Davey Concepcion as they talk it over. This has been all Darcy's doing with the 2 walks and now a wild pitch. Red Sox trailing by 4 runs, but a base hit here from Freddie Lynn could get him to within striking distance again. Sparky Anderson talking with his pitching coach, Larry Shepard. Clay Carroll continuing to heat in the Reds' pen. Well, he just did get a piece of the ball to stay alive.
Looks like he's got a good natural sinker. That ball went down a lot.
He does, Tony, and his fastball simply explodes at home plate. When he's throwing the good hard stuff, he's got a good moving fastball. Outfield giving Lynn quite a bit of room in left center field. He went after a high pitch and hits it very high into left center. Foster, Geronimo. It's going to be Foster. Here's a tag at third. Here's a throw to the plate. And it'll not be in time, and the Red Sox are on the board for the second time tonight.
I was surprised that Foster took it. There was plenty of time for Geronimo, who has the superior throwing arm, to come over and get in position. But Foster apparently waved him off.
They have rated the two best throwing arms in this series, Geronimo and Evans.
Tony, the point you just made, I would imagine, you could look inside the head of Sparky Anderson. He's not too pleased with the fact that Foster caught that ball in left field for the very reason that you pointed out.
I don't think Joe Morgan was either. He was looking out there from behind the pitching mound after it happened.
Fisk remaining at second base. Here's Petrocelli, and again, Darcy throws one into the dirt.
Here's just another one of the things Bench does so well, is this, and he blocks in the dirt. We've seen him scoop up a ball in a key situation in game number 2, first and third, nobody out, and a throw from Concepcion.
Darcy continuing to pitch from behind the Boston hitters. It's 2 balls and no strikes to Petrocelli.
How about that play made on the bunt at Fenway Park? Looked like a big cat out there that time.
2 down in the inning, a run home for Boston, 5-2, and there's a called strike. Not Darcy, the man who stands to gain the win in this game, and that Gary Nolan, the starter, went only 4 innings. 3 balls and a strike as he misses high with a fastball. Both bullpens are busy here in the Boston 6th inning. We got a look at third base coach Don Zimmer shouting out to the runner at second, Fisk. Here's a bouncing ball charging Concepcion. And that's all for the Red Sox in the 6th inning. They get a run, no hits, a man left on. After 5.5 innings of play in Cincinnati, it's the Reds 5 and the Red Sox 2. Well, a lovely young lady right down there, as you see, and that's Mrs. Vicki Chesser Bench. Young South Carolina lady married to the Reds catcher Johnny Bench. That's her mom to her left and her dad to her right as they watch the action here. And she's got to be a very happy young lady now, and that her husband hit a 4th inning home run that put the Reds out in front. And it's Johnny Bench leading off the bottom of the 6th inning for Cincinnati. That home run for Bench, his 3rd hit in the series. He's now gone 3 for 10 and facing the right-hander for the first time in the game. Reggie Cleveland, the 3rd Boston pitcher to be used by Darrell Johnson tonight. Starts Bench out with a breaking pitch. He checked his swing in time. 5 runs on 4 hits for Cincinnati. They've certainly made the most of their base hits. And swings and misses at a pitch out away from him.
Reggie Cleveland has a very important job now. Any middleman coming in with his team behind, he has to check that other club and allow nothing more and enable his club to try and creep back into the ball game.
Bench will a foul ball off the very tip end of the bat, so he's behind at Cleveland. 1 ball and 2 strikes as Johnny Bench leads off the 6th with George Foster on deck. Again, Rick Burleson playing extremely deep. Johnny Bench, a dead pull hitter. Count even at 2-2. He had 1 home run during the regular season the other way, and I'll tell you, it was a real shocker to the fans here at Riverfront Stadium.
Tony and I saw him hit one here against Pittsburgh in the 5th game in '72 to the opposite field.
Now Cleveland has chalked up his 2nd strikeout. He fanned Perez to end the 5th, and now KO's Johnny Bench to begin the 6th inning. One away, and here's George Foster. He walked his first time up and then bounced out to Petrocelli at 3rd in the 4th inning. Mentioned earlier the fact that the back-to-back Reds home runs in the 5th inning was the 7th time in World Series history that's been pulled off. But an interesting side note, it's a first ever by a National League club. The 6th time the American Leaguers have hit back-to-backers, first time by the National League. Here's a very high fly ball. Tracking it, the veteran Carl Yastrzemski. And they're 2 down quickly. David Concepcion now with 2 away and the base is empty for Cincinnati. getting an especially big hand by the Reds crowds at Riverfront. He had a home run leading off the 5th.
Don Zimmer was talking to Bench before the ball game about the great shortstops in the National League. They were comparing them: Boa, Metzger, Concepcion. And it seemed to see that Concepcion came out on top all round.
Here's a call strike to him. Tony, as you well know, being a former shortstop, he's got tremendous range. He's got a fine arm. He's a heady type of ball player. He knows the hitters very well in this league. And you talk to Sparky Anderson, and he said, hey, this kid hasn't reached his prime yet. He's going to get better. Check swing foul. Reggie Cleveland throwing strikes. He's jumped out in front 2 strikes on Dave Concepcion.
I'll tell you one thing about Sparky. John Ralston's the Dale Carnegie of pro football. Sparky is Mr. Positive of baseball.
I guess you have the kind of club he has, you can afford to be that way.
Yes, sir.
Seems to be a bit more relaxed right now. That's his favorite seat. When the Reds are hitting, he sits next to Ted Kluszewski. And when the Reds are in the field, he moves over near his pitching coach, Larry Shepard. Ground ball the other way, scooped up by Cooper. He taps the bag, and the Reds are meekly out 1-2-3 in their half of the 6th inning here. 3 up, 3 down at the end of 6. Reds over the Red Sox, 5-2.
Well, we have World Series game number 7. We'll have a baseball-football doubleheader this coming Sunday. Coverage beginning at 12:30 with a baseball whirl of Joe Garagiola, followed by the World Series game 7 from Boston, and then at 4 o'clock by 3 regional NFL football games. The highlight game of the day would be Oakland right here against the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. The World Series is completed. We'd have an NFL doubleheader. We'll tell you more about it. Right now, again, Marty Brenneman.
Thank you, Kurt. Here's Dwight Evans leading off the 7th for Boston, and the first pitch misses from Pat Darcy. And, well, we've got activity in both bullpens. For the Boston Red Sox, that's right-hander Jim Willoughby throwing. Swung on, a bouncing ball up the middle. Concepcion cannot get it. That is hit number 5 for the Boston Red Sox. Evans quickly coming back into first base as the throw goes that way.
Here's Evans going nicely with the pitch. Concepcion was playing him a little bit up the middle. Another one of those. We've repeated it before. An artificial surface. Scoots right on by him.
That'll bring up Rick Burleson and Sparky Anderson on his way to the mound, and before he ever reaches the first base foul line, he signals that he wants a right-hander, Clay Carroll. So Clay Carroll will be coming on in a saving situation as Darcy heads back toward the Cincinnati dugout. Well, Rick Burleson was scheduled to bat for the Red Sox. He will be hitting. He goes back to the Boston dugout to confer with Carlton Fisk as Clay Carroll now reaches a Riverfront Stadium mound. Bernie Carbo has moved to the on-deck circle. He's going to be the pinch hitter for the pitcher, Reggie Cleveland. And, well, we're witnessing a game here tonight where we're seeing both managers go to their bullpens and go to them frequently. The Red Sox have used Wise, Burton, and Cleveland. We'll be seeing another new Boston pitcher when the Reds bat in the 7th, and now right-hander Clay Carroll, known as a Hawk here in Cincinnati, becomes the 3rd pitcher for the men of Sparky Anderson.
Captain Hook's gone to work. That's what he's known around here as. We look at Clay Carroll from all angles. He's pretty much of a power pitcher. He has served mostly in relief up here in Cincinnati, although he has been a starter in some trouble times. Good sinking fastball, hard slider. He can come in and throw strikes, get you the ground balls, and occasionally the strikeout. Here now in slow motion, Clay Carroll from 4 angles. Harry Coyle, our director, who's been in almost every World Series, working hard to get all these different angles for you.
Since 1903?
Oh, 1903. Did they televise back then? If they did, Harry was here.
Clay Carroll ready to go to work now on Rick Burleson, and he gets the first pitch over for a taken strike. This is second game of this 1975 World Series. He did not record an out in coming on in relief of Don Gullett in Game 1 Saturday at Fenway Park, and his 11th appearance lifetime in series competition. He's 0-2 with Burleson, and again Bernie Carbo in the on-deck circle to bat for pitcher Reggie Cleveland.
And with those left-handers coming up, Carbo followed by Cooper, Doyle, Yastrzemski. The Reds have McEnany, their left-handed reliever, warming up.
Evans leading at first base, nobody out. Trying to get him to go after a breaking ball out away from him, but Burleson not having any of it. There's McEnany, young man from Springfield, Ohio, who just a few days ago became a father for the first time. The Red Sox trying to battle back. They're down by 3 big ones in the 7th. Swung on. That could be 2. Morgan, Concepcion, Perez.
And that is a highly underrated part of this total team the Cincinnati Reds have. Morgan and Concepcion, we've said it before, but they just might be the best all-around ever to play the game around second base, and that takes in a lot of territory.
They talk about the Reds' power. They set a major league record this year. They played 15 consecutive games without making an error. They had the fewest errors in their league. So they do it both ways, what you have to do in any sport to win.
Here's Bernie Carbo batting for Reggie Cleveland, and this is somewhat of a homecoming of sorts, and he hits one well back into left field. Foster looking, and it's out of here.
That's a typical Carbo home run to the opposite field. He thought it was a ground rule double.
He thought it bounced, did he? Come on, Bernie.
He hit his home runs at Crosley Field when he first came up.
We know you're excited. You know, he came out yesterday at the workout and stirred up a little controversy. He thought that he should be playing back here in Cincinnati, that Yastrzemski should go back to first base. He should be in left field. Yaz got a little bit irritated, we understand, with it. There's Foster going back. Marty Brenneman pointed out that yellow line as he went around the park early in the game, just barely made it.
He really has power to the opposite field for a left-hander.
Here comes Sparky Anderson again. He's wearing out a path from the dugout to the mound, and he's going to bring on the left-hander McEnany, apparently, to pitch to the left-handed batting Cecil Cooper. Kurt, you know, it's amazing. We had 2 games in Boston. They talked about the Green Monster, no home runs, and now look what's happened here tonight.
Well, that wind, I guess I talked a lot about it over the weekend, but I've seen so many times with that east wind, and that's where Johnny Bench we may look back. We don't know what's going to happen. And here are the Red Sox getting back into this one. Johnny Bench showed me something Sunday. With that wind blowing in against him, he went to the opposite field instead of trying to hit the wall. That was smart hitting. We have a break in the action. Another pitching change for the Reds, and the score right now is Cincinnati 5 and Boston 3.
Well, there you got a look at 23-year-old Will McEnany, 5-2 on the year for Cincinnati, and he led this club in appearances, coming out of the Reds bullpen a total of 70 times. He'll be working to the left-handed batting Cooper with 2 down. The pitch to him swung on, a jam job that he bloops into shallow left center, and that's the inning. For the Boston Red Sox in the 7th inning, they get a run on a couple of hits, the home run by Bernie Carbo. And at the end of 6 1/2, it's the Reds 5 and the Red Sox 3. Another pitcher on for the Boston Red Sox as the Reds come calling in the 7th inning, and it's going to be right-hander Jim Willoughby.
Willoughby spent some time in the National League. He had a great streak where in about 12 or 14 appearances in relief, he figured in a lot of big decisions, something like 12 of them saves or wins. But Darrell Johnson called Tulsa, Oklahoma, where Willoughby was pitching, talked to an old friend, Ken Boyer, said, if you got somebody down there who can help us, you owe us a player, from the deal they had made. And Boyer said, well, we've got a guy here who's pitched some games starting, has gotten 20 ground ball outs. Darrell Johnson said, that's what I need, a man who can come in, get a right-handed hitter out and get me the double play, and he sent Jim Willoughby.
He's a sinker baller. He was pitching overhand at one time, and I found out when he dropped down, he's much more effective. He'll have a natural sinker ball. When he throws that ball sidearm, he's tough on right-handers.
Going to be facing 8, 9, and 1 in the Cincinnati half of the 7th inning. Geronimo, who had the back end of those back-to-back home runs for the Reds in the 5th inning. Concepcion led it off with a home run to left center, and then Geronimo played long ball to right. Willoughby becomes pitcher number 4 for Boston. Geronimo takes strike 1. Red Sox not out of this game by a long shot. They trail 5-1 at one point. They have scored a couple of runs. We have witnessed a total of 5 home runs in this game. 3 by Cincinnati and 2 by Boston. There's McEnany on deck. Nobody throwing in the Reds bullpen, which would indicate that McEnany will hit for himself.
Reggie Cleveland did an outstanding job retiring 4 batters in a row, the 4 he faced.
Here's a fly ball hit well to center field, but that, of course, the deepest part of the park, and Lynn has no trouble with it.
Kurt, you saw Joe DiMaggio, Dominic DiMaggio. They always talk about Joe gliding back. We just saw Freddie Lynn glide back. What kind of comparison is there?
Well, I saw Joe DiMaggio, you know, in the twilight of his career when he was 32, 33 years old. You could see that fluid grace still there, but not the way it was when he was a young player. Lynn is deceptive like Joe, though. He sort of glides after the ball, long strides.
McEnany takes the first pitch away from him, and Boston pitching has now retired a total of 6 batters in a row. Griffey reaching on a walk in the 5th inning, and he's been the last Cincinnati base runner. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Let me tell you, the little brother wasn't bad out there in center field. The little professor, he got everything and threw well. They all 3 are outstanding.
There's a chopper over the mound. That's going to be played by Doyle back at second. And the ball is mishandled by Cooper. It appeared to be a throw down in the dirt from Denny Doyle, and Cooper could not make the pickup.
And they're trying to win the 3rd World Series game.
They go to work early here, Kurt.
They sure do.
Comes with a fastball, and now McEnany had Lynn down 0-2. It's now 2 balls and 2 strikes as Will requests and gets a new baseball. On deck for the Boston Red Sox, 3rd baseman Rico Petrocelli. He'll be followed by the right fielder Dwight Evans. Now the 2-2 pitch. Strike 3 is called.
That was a drop. Very sharp breaking curveball. That gets Lynn. He had no chance on that. Perfect spot. Watch it. He's just overmatched on that pitch. You can see him start pulling out, pulling away, looking for something inside. Great pitch.
McEnany and Eastwick remind me a lot of Mossy and Narleski in the 50s when they came up with Cleveland.
Here's a base hit to center field by Rico Petrocelli, who continues to swing a very, very potent bat for the Red Sox in this series.
Now we got the tying run coming up with a left-hander to face a right-hander. Comes Sparky.
We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network. Sparky Anderson, a busy man, going from dugout to pitcher's mound tonight, is once again sending down the call, and this time it's going to be right-hander Raleigh Eastwick. McEnany giving up a 1-out single to center by Rico Petrocelli, and as Tony mentioned, that brings a tie and run to the plate. Batter will be Dwight Evans when we get back to the action. Now, we'd like to pass along our thanks tonight to statistician Alan Roth, our production stage manager Jim O'Gorman, and our field supervisor Huey McDermott. Sparky Anderson trying to get a very, very emphatic point across to Raleigh Eastwick, and this young man, having won a game already, the Sunday game at Fenway, now comes on to try and save this one. And, well, rightly so as far as the Reds are concerned, because as Kurt and Tony pointed out earlier tonight, it has been McEnany and it has been this young man from Haddonfield, New Jersey, who have proven to be the salvation for this Reds bullpen.
And in the Red Sox dugout are mostly right-handed batters to pinch hit. Doug Griffin, Bob Hayes. They do have one left-hander, Rick Miller, Juan Beniquez.
Sparky Anderson doesn't miss many chicks. As he talked to Eastwick after he left the mound, he looked over to Tony Perez, say play behind the runner at first. He looked out to his outfield and motioned them to play a little deeper to prevent an extra base hit to keep that tying run out of scoring position. Eastwick, I think, primarily a power pitcher, slider and fastball.
Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, World Series game number 4 from Cincinnati. El Tiante against the brilliant young left-hander, Don Gullett. Preceded by the baseball world of Joe Garagiola. Joe's show tomorrow night, Foster Brooks. And a different kind of baseball story. Joe's told me about it, and it's going to be some show. We got a show right now here in the 9th now.
That we do. Eastwick is all set to go to work to Evans. Joe Morgan coming quickly in from second base to have a word with him.
I forgot about the switch hitter, Blackwell, in the dugout of the Red Sox.
Petrocelli at first. The man at the plate is Dwight Evans, and he represents the tying run. It's 5-3 Reds, as Boston now has out-hit Cincinnati 7-5, and Pedro Bourbon, a right-hander, picks up where Eastwick left off. Evans 1 for 3. Pitch. That's low a ball. There's Bourbon.
Sparky's got a pitcher for every batter.
I'll tell you, he's used just about everybody with the exception of Bourbon, Kurt. Fred Norman expected to be utilized as a reliever in the series, but he has not thrown tonight. Here's a fly ball hit into left field. Foster back on the warning track, and he will not get it. It's a home run in a tie ball game. Raleigh Eastwick has just given up a game-tying ninth-inning home run to Dwight Evans. As the Red Sox dugout erupts, they have tied it up at 5-all.
And we've just had an all-time World Series record tied. 6 home runs, 3 by each team tonight. The Red Sox made quite a comeback. Cleveland and Willoughby kept them in the ball game with their relief pitching. They were trailing 5-1, and now they've tied it.
Evans wasn't sure. He ran hard all the way to first base. It was hit so high, and after he hit the bag, what a jump from jubilation he gave.
Now it's Rick Burleson at the plate. 1 hit and 3 times up, a ball to him. Boston dugout just now settling down as they welcomed Evans in. 1 ball and 1 strike as Eastwick comes with fire to the Boston shortstop.
That was a clutch home run right there, folks. Foster still thought he had a chance as we look at Dwight Evans' home run again. There he gives up. A little despair as he presses that wall.
2 runs across for the Red Sox to tie it up. Here's a fly ball into shallow center. Morgan back. He cannot get it. Morgan trying to play it all the way, ranging back into shallow center field, but Burleson dumps it in. And now the Red Sox have the go-ahead run on. And the pitcher, Jim Willoughby, getting a word as he heads toward the plate from third base coach Don Zimmer.
He's probably telling Willoughby if the bunt is on, which direction to bunt it. Rose will be charging hard at third. It's difficult to bunt in artificial surface because the ball gets to the infielder so fast. The place you'd like to go is to the first baseman Perez because he's got the hold the runner Burleson on.
Now Pete Rose playing in shallow at third base as Willoughby is up in a bunt situation. Tony Perez charging through at first base, but not in time as Morgan snuck in behind the runner, and they almost had him.
What a snap throw by Bench. He rifled that one.
The set play, a time play. Joe Morgan started going right off the bat. Here he comes, right behind the runner Burleson. Burleson, a very alert base runner. A lot of guys might have gotten picked off on that.
The Red Sox getting a 2-run homer from Evans to tie it up, and now trying to get the go-ahead run around. Burleson at first base, 1 out. The 1-0 to Willoughby. Bunted first base side. It's a good one. Tony Perez will have to throw on to Morgan covering for the out on a sacrifice bunt as Willoughby does his job.
Look at Pete Rose on that last bunt. By the time the bat is on the ball, he's 10 feet away from Willoughby, the pitcher. Willoughby with an exceptional bunt on this artificial surface. Now look at Johnny say, knock it down. You can see him directing traffic back at home plate.
Raleigh Eastwick and the Reds involved in a pressure cooker situation as Roger Moret goes back to begin throwing in the Red Sox bullpen. 5-5 tie. Go-ahead run at second base in the 9th inning with 2 out. And Cooper with a pop-up back of the plate, but Bench will not have a play on it. Makes no difference. A Red Sox fan, a Reds fan. This has been some kind of ball game. Boston led 1-0. The Reds went out in front 5-1, and boy, credit the Red Sox. They have battled back. Low and inside. 1 ball and a strike.
Well, the Reds have come back, I think, over 40 times this year to win games. The Red Sox have done the same thing. You don't win a league championship without doing that.
Eastwick trying to get the 3rd out. Checks Burleson at second. Cooper with a foul back. Cooper, one of 4 300 hitters for the Red Sox this season. He batted .311. There's Darrell Johnson right alongside his catcher Carlton Fisk as they watch the action. Barrett has been joined in the Red Sox bullpen by a right-hander, Dick Drago. See Drago on the left, Barrett on the right. Another foul ball as Eastwood continues to throw strikes, and Cooper fouls him away. Holding count, a ball and 2 strikes.
Some pretty good arms in the outfield for Burleson to challenge off second base on the event of a base hit to the infield. Geronimo leading the pack, maybe in all of baseball with that strong, accurate throwing arm.
Another check swing foul ball by Cooper. He's hitless in 4 times up tonight, has grounded out twice, has popped to the infield and hit a fly ball to left. Start thinking about the Cincinnati ninth inning. They're going to have Bench, Foster, and Concepcion coming to the plate. 5-5 lockup. 1-2 pitch. Swung on. Fly ball. Shallow center. Geronimo. He's got it. The side retired. A ninth inning that ties it up for the Red Sox. 2 runs on 3 hits with a man left on. We go to the bottom of the ninth. Reds 5, Boston 5. Well, we're into sudden death. The bottom of the ninth inning and a 5-5 ball game. And Jim Willoughby, who has pitched outstanding ball in relief for Boston. In fact, the Reds over the last 3 innings have had only 1 hit, and that came from, of all people, Will McInerney, an infield hit off of Willoughby in the 7th inning.
The Red Sox have Drago, a right-hander, a fastball pitcher. Moret has an outstanding arm. He's a left-hander. And here's Johnny Bench to lead it off.
There you see in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, Johnny's wife, Vicky, along with her parents, as Johnny leads off the 9th inning. He's had one of the 3 Cincinnati home runs, a blast-off starter, Wick Rise, in the 4th inning with a man on. Willoughby delivers, then swings, and he misses.
Still has 2 more, Mom.
Nobody throwing in the Cincinnati bullpen. As Kurt mentioned, 2 working for Boston. Here's a bouncing ball foul off the 3rd baseline. The Cincinnati bullpen, it has been so ballyhooed in this World Series, but I'll tell you, Boston's bullpen has simply been outstanding tonight. 0-2, Jim Willoughby against Johnny Bench. Ground ball 3rd. There's Petrocelli eating it up.
I'll tell you, he's been amazing in this series. He's done it all with a bat, with a glove. He has an inner ear problem that he almost has threatened to retire. He's been ill the last month, but he looks like he's 22 years old the way he's played in this series.
That was a tougher play than it looked because he was right on the line protecting against the double. Had a long way to go to his left. That ball hit that area you described earlier, right around that seam near the dirt part.
Here's a guy who can hit him a long way, George Foster. 23 home runs during the season, hitless in 2 times up tonight, has walked. Strike 1.
We know Willoughby so far has had it because they're hitting the ball on the ground. Only 1 man has hit the ball in the air against him. He's got that sinker ball. They're beating it down.
On deck for Cincinnati, Davey Concepcion. Bottom of the 9th inning with 1 man out, and the base is empty, a 5-5 score. Burleson will play it from deep in the hole at shortstop. And a nice play by Cecil Cooper as he saw that ball was going to take a hop, backed up, but still stayed on the bag to make the play on it and retire Foster.
He's got a good arm. Luckily, he had the artificial surface to skip the ball off. Cooper makes a super play, backing off on the ball. Had he stretched, he'd gotten a funny hop.
Burleson usually will throw you out on a fly on that one. He has a very deceiving arm, strong arm, the little rooster.
So Jim Willoughby an out away from sending this game into extra innings. He has retired Bench and Foster on ground balls to the left side, and here's Concepcion. He homered in the 5th inning. Ground ball, easy pop for Petrocelli. And that's all for the Reds as they go out meekly. 1, 2, 3 in the 9th inning. 3 up, 3 down. And at the end of 9 complete, it's the Reds 5 and the Red Sox 5.
It appeared in the 5th inning that the Reds were going to bomb the Red Sox out of Riverfront Stadium when they took a 5-1 lead. They had back-to-back homers by Concepcion and Geronimo to increase their lead to 4-1. And then Rose hit a triple off Rick Wise. He came in to score on a sacrifice fly by Morgan to make it 5-1. And then what a superlative job, Reggie Cleveland. He retired 4 in a row, middle innings. Willoughby has allowed only one man to reach base the last 3 innings. They kept the Red Sox in it by checking the Reds completely, and the Red Sox went to work with a run in the 6th, a run in the 7th, and a 2-run homer by Dwight Evans in the 9th to tie it. So we're going to the 10th inning. 5 runs, 9 hits, 1 error for the Red Sox. 5 runs, 5 hits, no errors for the Reds. Doyle, Yastrzemski, and Fisk facing Raleigh Eastwood. The strike to Doyle, who's gone hitless in 4 times. Cooper, at the top of the order, went hitless in 5. 0 for 9, the number 1 and 2 men in the Red Sox lineup. Yet they still tied this game. Strike 2. And Yastrzemski's failed to hit. The hitting by the Red Sox has been down at the bottom of the order. 2 strikes. Foul ball into the seats down the left field line. Nolan, Darcy, Carroll, McEnany, Eastwick. Here we are now with pitcher facing batter from 2 shots. All the way on the left, the steady on the right. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Doyle leading off the 10th. Ooh, that was just outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bench thought they had the corner. The 2-2 pitch to Denny Doyle. 3-2. Perez right on top of that first baseline. Down at first. The 3-2 delivery. Bounding ball up the middle, over for Morgan. No play. He wisely held on to it. He wasn't going to take any chance of a bad throw, an out-balanced throw. And Doyle battled back from a 2-strike count. That's the 10th hit for the Red Sox.
Watch Morgan give way. He knows that Concepcion is the only one who has a chance to make a play. He just backed off. David, with exceptional speed, just couldn't get it on the high hopper on the artificial surface.
The Red Sox have out-hit the Reds double now, 10-5. Of the 5 Red hits, 3 have been homers and 1 triple. Yastrzemski grounded out twice, walked and struck out. And Bourbon goes to work in the Cincinnati bullpen. High to Yastrzemski. The right-handers on deck, Carlton Fisk. We're all tied, 5 up, 10th inning. You never know, do you? The Reds did it in Boston in the 9th. Now the Red Sox battle back tonight here when they look like they're out of it. Ball 2 to Yastrzemski. And the Cincinnati crowd is very uneasy right now. The 2-0 pitch to Yastrzemski. He hits a drive into deep center, way back. Geronimo right up against the wall. A couple of feet higher, and the Reds were in real trouble. Geronimo gauged that one perfectly. Yastrzemski got his pitch, and he really leaned into it.
Here's Geronimo displaying a great knowledge of his home park, going back very nicely, knowing when he hit that warning track, when he had to jump. He is a superlative center fielder, and I guess for a number of years, boys, we're going to hear who's better. Geronimo, Lynn, throwing a few others too, I guess.
Carlton Fisk homered in a second, nobody on. Walked twice, grounded out, bench to Perez. He's 1 out of 2 officially. 1 down, Doyle at first.
We see it again, the catch by Geronimo, and as Tony says, he knows this ballpark like he knows the palm of his hand. He knew how much room he had. He made a little leap at the last second to bring it down, and The thing about this man is that he does things so effortlessly that a lot of people feel like he does not get the credit he deserves.
The 1-0 pitch. A strike, a fastball. The Carlton Fisk, 1-1. Red Lynn is on deck for the Red Sox. Geronimo is playing Fisk straight away. Foster's more toward the line, and Morgan is shading second. 2 balls and a strike to Carlton Fisk. That's Geronimo.
A lot of clubs in the American League will play Fisk over more toward left center field, so maybe they're going to try and keep the ball away, get him to hit the ball to center field.
The 2-1 pitch. Runner going. Hit and run on. Bounded to Morgan. Tag. Throw. Double play.
The great part about this is that Morgan does not allow himself to get in the way of Doyle, where he could have gotten upset and would not have been able to make that last throw to get the front end of that double play.
Here it is again as the batter Fisk hits the ball on the ground and perfectly played as the runner goes. Morgan was heading toward the bag. He fielded the ball, tagged the runner sliding Doyle, and got the easy double play of Fisk at first base.
So now Jim Willoughby comes out in the last of the 10th inning. And he'll face Geronimo, Eastwick, the pitcher, if they let him hit, and Pete Rose at the top of the order. Now this coming Sunday, we'll have a big sports doubleheader for you. If we have Game 7 of the World Series in Boston, we would have the Baseball World of Joe Garagiola at 12:30, and the baseball game followed by football with a feature game. The Oakland Raiders trying to bounce back from their stunning defeat last week by Kansas City against the undefeated Cincinnati Bengals. If the World Series is over, the lineup would be grandstand. Then regional football at 1 o'clock. Baltimore, New England, Miami, and the Jets. That'll be a great one in New York. And the 4 o'clock games, Cleveland against Denver, Kansas City, San Diego. Well, the Oakland-Cincinnati game going across most of the country. And grandstand again. Either way, you're the winners, whatever happens on Sunday on NBC.
Jim Willoughby's had an excellent sinker ball tonight. In the last 2 innings, 8th and 9th, he's got 5 ground balls out, all outs out of 6. But he's had his trouble second and third times around facing hitters because they start laying off the pitch that is between the knees and the ankles. They force him to get behind, then he has to come up with the ball and he gets hurt.
Cesar Geronimo will start it off for Cincinnati in the last of the 10th inning. Give him a good hand for the catch. Sit and watch ball games year after year. That Terry Crowley coming out on deck, left-handed batter. Bounce foul. How many times when that player makes a great play in the field does he come in to lead off the inning? A left-handed pinch hitter, Crowley, will be up next. Cincinnati trying to get that rhythmic clap going for a rally. They had a 5-1 lead at one time. There's a strike in the inside corner. And Willoughby jumps ahead of him 0-2. Drago and Moret, right-hander, left-hander, all heated up and ready in the Boston bullpen. They're deep for Geronimo. Willoughby just missing. Drago, the right-hander, Moret, the left-hander. One ball, 2 strikes to Geronimo. Hard ground ball, base hit into center field. The Reds have the winning run on.
Crowley was on deck, but now Sparky is going to his good bunter. He's done this before during the season, I believe, Marty. He's going to Ed Armbrister, who's an excellent bunter. Saves him a left-handed pinch hitter by doing this.
Ed Armbrister will bat for Raleigh Eastwick. And the winning run is on for Cincinnati in the last of the 10th inning. We're tied 5-all. In extra inning games this season, the Reds won 11 out of 15, and the Red Sox won 8 out of 12. They were both tough in extra innings. Well, the Red Sox know this man's a good bunter. Petrocelli's in tight at third. Cooper will be charging. The outfield straight away, not too deep. Willoughby makes the move. Had 3 steals tonight by the Reds. Foster, Perez, Griffey outside. Geronimo is a good base runner. He stole 13 out of 18 this year.
Kurt, he's another one that Joe Morgan is hoping to work extensively with in spring training to try and increase his base stealing production, as with Ken Griffey.
Armbrister hit a sacrifice fly. 10th inning in the final game at Pittsburgh in the National League playoffs to provide the winning run. Throw to second. High. By Carlton Fisk over to third. Safe.
We are going to have
down at second.
We're going to have an argument. They may reverse this decision.
Red Sox are arguing interference at the plate.
They are saying that a batter, after bunting, interfered with Carlton Fisk, the catcher, in fair territory. He has to give room to Carlton Fisk so he can make the play. There's Darrell Johnson, Rico Petrocelli. Apparently, home plate umpire Larry Barnett is not going to reverse his decision. He might ask for help for somebody else. One of the other umpires who they feel might have had a better look. Well, let's wait and see what happens. That's what Darrell Johnson wants. He's calling first base umpire Dick Stello right now.
Tony and Marty. Is that a gamble play at second by Fisk?
Absolutely, Kurt. And, well, I'll tell you, to be honest about it, Tony, I don't know how you feel, but he may well have a valid argument, both Carlton Fisk and Darrell Johnson.
Darrell Johnson right now is saying, I want to hear from Dick Stello, but apparently Larry Barnett is saying, no, I made the call, I'm sticking with it. Darrell Johnson saying he interfered with my man, my catcher, Carlton Fisk, in fair territory. And we're going to look at it again and see what we've got. Here is the butt with Geronimo on first. Watch this now. Fisk has got to have room. Armbrister right in his way. I have got to say right there, he interfered with him.
I'd agree with you, Tony.
Let's look at it again as we re-rack it. Darrell Johnson still wants an appeal to Stello or somebody else. Barnett saying, I made the call. It's going to stand as it is. Runners on second and third. Nobody out. Right now, things look pretty hopeless. Here it is again. Armbrister making sure the bunt is down right. He is in Fisk's way. Barnett is blocked out on the play. You can see he was blocked by Armbrister.
Boy, that's Fisk hot.
I don't blame him.
After you saw him had to throw over the batter, he knew a fast man was going, and he still tried to get him at second base. The throw skipped into center field.
Kurt, a big break for Cincinnati in a play that is destined to go down as a very, very controversial call on the part of Larry Barnett.
And an error has been charged to Fisk. He's made 2 errors in this game. On throws to second. Here's another angle, Tony.
Here's another angle. Watch Fisk, watch Armbrister. There's Fisk. The ball is in fair territory. Armbrister is definitely in his way, and I believe, Kurt, the rule reads that you cannot obstruct, impede, get in the way of a fielder, a lot of other terminology, in fair territory. You've got to give the ground to the fielder.
Offensive interference. Defensive interference is an act by a fielder which hinders or prevents a batter from hitting a pitch. Offensive interference, which interferes with, obstructs, impedes, hinders, or confuses any fielder attempting to make a play. Impedes, obstructs, hinders, or confuses any fielder attempting to make a play. If the umpire declares a batter runner, or a runner out for interference, all other runners shall return to the last base that was the judgment of the umpire legally touched at the time of interference.
Kurt and Marty, it looked to me, there's the commissioner of baseball, Bowie Kuhn, talking to former American League President Joe Cronin. Hank Aaron right behind the commissioner, but it appeared to me that Armbrister did 3 or 4 of those things: interfere, impede, obstruct, call it what you want, but he was in the way.
Hank Aaron wasn't getting into the comment. He says let him play ball. Well, this changes the whole strategy now. Fisk's throw was to try to nab Geronimo at second and went into center field. So Geronimo is the winning run now at third. Armbruster went to second. An error charged, a sacrifice, and an error charged against Fisk. And now Roger Moret is on. Pete Rose is the next batter. They have first base open. Rose is a switch hitter. And following him is a left-hander, Griffey. 2 errors by Fisk in this game ties a series record for a catcher 3 times previously.
The irony of that is that Carlton Fisk shouldn't have any errors. That throw he made to second base earlier might have been handled by Denny Doyle. And this one right here, well, we saw it. It'll be interesting in the post-game analysis if the score stands up, Cincinnati scores. If Larry Barnett, the home plate umpire, says he made the decision all by himself, he might have gotten blocked out from our camera angle, or if he did, appeal to Dick Stello or another umpire on the bases for help.
All right, the Reds now have a great chance. Pete Rose is up. And Fisk looks to the dugout.
They've got to walk him.
They're going to put him on and hope for a force out at home or a forced double play started at home. The outfield will come in. Long fly will win the game anyway. The infield will be in. This will load the bases with nobody out in the last of the 10th inning. And a play that I believe will go down as one of those controversial plays that you talk about for years to come in a World Series.
As I recall, a World Series here not too many years ago, there was another controversial play at home plate involving Bernie Carbo when Kenny Burkhart was bumped, I believe, on the play. Some said he couldn't see it well, but he made a controversial decision. We're moving him in the outfield, way in. Merv Rettenman now has come out. He's going to bat for Griffey.
Yep.
Sparky going with the percentages.
Merv Rettenman will hit for Griffey. Rettenman's a right-hander. The outfield very, very shallow. All Rettenman's got to do is do something. The Red Sox now will try and choke off Geronimo at the plate. 5-5, last of the 10th inning. There'll be a lot of arguing about that bunt by Armbruster. Did he interfere with Carlton Fisk's attempt to make a play? That's what the Red Sox were arguing about, that Fisk was interfered with. Barrett fires a strike. He's a strikeout pitcher. He's got great stuff.
He's not much of a ground ball pitcher. His fastball rides high most of the time, high and away, and they hit fly balls off in the right and left center field.
1 strike. He has an outstanding fastball and a good curve. 114 and lost 3 this year. He was both a reliever and a starter. He's never been in a tougher jam than this with bases loaded, nobody out. Last of the 10th inning, World Series game number 3. The Reds at one time leading 5-1. Red Sox came back to tie it on Dwight Evans' homer in the 9th. Strike 2 to Merv Rettenman. 0-2. Rogelio Moret. From Puerto Rico, 6'4", 175-pounder, willowy. Now the 2-strike pitch. Just a piece of it by Rettenman. He won some big ball games in July and August with that fastball.
Here's the pitch. He tried to blow it by Rettenman high and tight. Just got a piece of it. Then after that pitch, a conference on the mound. Moret and Fisk, as we look at Sparky, looking over who Darrell Johnson's got left, and a little scouting report also.
He's got the book, huh? Moret's only 26, just turned 26.
He's going over the hitters, it looked like, with Eastwick, in case they have to go back out there.
The 2-strike delivery to Merv Rettenman. High and away. The infield in, the outfield in. Bases are loaded, nobody out for the Reds in the last of the 10th. Geronimo started with a single. Armbruster trying to bunt. Fisk trying to field the bunt. Scrambled up at home plate. Fisk threw the ball into center field to set all this up. Curve is low, 2-2 count. Fisk and the entire Red Sox team raging that Fisk was interfered with. This is a good block by Fisk behind the plate.
Bench has done this a couple times tonight, getting down, keeping the ball in front of him. We see Fisk do it now. Look at Rettenmund hanging tough following that breaking pitch down.
2-2 count. Bases loaded, nobody out. 5-5, last of the 10th. Struck him out with a fastball. Rettenmund caught looking. He had something on that one. Now there's one out with the bases loaded. And Joe Morgan, the batter. The outfield still has to play shallow. And the infield in. If he did hit the ball on the ground, he's a tough man to double up. You had to go catcher to first. Now, Darrell Johnson trying to get the attention of one of his players.
Three fine throwing outfield arms, led by Dwight Evans and Wright.
And they're all accurate arms. This is a job, though, where a pitcher almost has to do it himself. One down, bases loaded. 5-5 tie. Curveball, missing. 1-0 to Joe Morgan. The Reds. There's the winning run, potential winning run, Geronimo. That's Armbruster at second. Pete Rose at first. 1 ball, no strikes. To Joe Morgan. He had him going on that curve, 1-1. I think Joe said, hey, that was quite a curveball.
Scouting report didn't tell me about that one. He's noted for his fastball.
Roger Moret in the toughest situation he's ever been called for. That's a high pop foul coming back out of play. And now Moret's ahead of Morgan. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He came in here with the bases loaded, nobody out, and struck out pinch hitter Rettenmund. Now they're waving. They're trying to get Evans in. They say you can't throw out Geronimo that deep. Get in there, even though you've got a fine arm. They wave him in shallower.
That way he can catch a little looping line drive or a little blooper. Still have a chance at home plate.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Joe Morgan. Morgan wins the ball game. That's it. They get credit for only 1 run batted in. And the Reds win it 6-5. Joe Morgan getting credit for a single and a run batted in. Well, he drove in 2 runs tonight. And what a game we had. And we'll have controversy after this one over the bunt by Armbruster in front of the catcher Carlton Fisk. Final score, 6-5, Cincinnati. Game 3 of the '75 World Series has been brought to you by your local Dodge dealer.